What's up, everybody? And this week on Zetro's Toxic Vault, we have another epic rewind from a 2020 interview I did with the epic Mr. Lars Frederickson. He comes in, he talks punk rock, he talks metal, and everything else we going on. So I hope everybody enjoys it. What's up, everyone, and welcome down to another episode of Zetro's Toxic Vault. And finally, punk rock has returned to the vault. And my guest today is a Bay Area legend. He has many, many bands, but I like to call the main band the mothership from Rancid, Mr. Lars Frederickson.
Hello.
What's up, brother?
You know, I've been reading your YouTube comments lately, so don't try to talk over me during this interview.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
I love that. That's great. Okay, so see how it's this? Waddy set some rules with me, right? Lars set some rules. I never get that from the metal guys. Okay, I won't talk over you. Good to have you in.
Metal guys are passive.
Yeah, they are. They are, though. You notice how I have to move them? Sometimes these guys, I got to get stuff out of them, but they're, you know.
Well, I'm here to talk, bro.
I know. Well, good. I'm going to.
You know, I mean, I'm on coffee.
I'm going to keep you. I'm going to keep you here for a while because
Cool.
we're going to go through it.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege because, you know, I'm stoked.
It is for me as well. It is for, again, I'm a metal guy. Everybody knows that. But my roots are very much punk, and we're going to get into that,
Cool.
mine and yours as well. And again, I've always said thrash metal is derivative of basically British heavy metal equals punk rock, you know, the aggressive and the ferocity that it brought, and the rawness of it all, and the vocal content and the lyrical content.
Oh, for sure.
Very, very, very much punk. And
well, I think that those two scenes paralleled each other for a while because, as you saw, like a lot of those punk bands actually got more of a thrash edge, like Broken Bones, even the Exploited, you know, bands like that. So I'm trying to think. English Dogs, even
Discharge too.
So I mean, I think the thrash thing, you know, and the punk thing, it was those worlds were meant to, at some point, be together. You know what I mean? And I think it's not really a far stretch to be into punk rock and be into thrash metal at the same time. I love thrash.
I know.
You know, that's my favorite kind of like metal.
Right.
You know, I love Priest and I love Kiss and AC/DC. If you,
sure,
you know, Motorhead.
I know you do.
But it's just like. Thrash metal was kind of like the first kind of metal that it was okay to like as a punk, besides Motorhead, because
Right.
it was fast and the lyrical content was on point. I mean, we were talking about Pandemics 40 years ago, weren't we?
Sure we were.
And here we are.
I have a song on Pleasures of Flesh, Chemical.
See that, you know,
you know what I mean?
So
it's you know, again, I think we, like, punk music was socially aware. It was the first metal music that was really socially aware and would talk about stuff. If you listen to a lot of Megadeth lyrics, I mean, Dave's very that way.
Oh, yeah.
Very political, very kind of tongue-in-cheek about the way he writes his lyrics, you know. And
well, he always had a Lemmy-esque, because Lemmy was very much like that.
Oh,
too.
I agree. He's very kind of like sarcastic.
Yes.
In his deliveries, you know what I mean?
And that's what made him, I think that's what made him as a vocalist, because you could hear the sarcasm.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what drew people to that.
What do you mean? You know, just like that. What do you mean? Who writes a song that every line starts at, what do you mean? You know, and it's the greatest Megadeth song there is.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? It's my favorite. I love it. I love all, you know, I love Megadeth, but I think that we've always had this closeness, because I remember getting into punk, and I want to get into what you did in about 80 or 81, and I was coming from a metal. You know, I hard rock, heavy metal. My father was an old biker, listened to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. But then I saw the Sex Pistols in '77 on TV. I didn't know the Ramones. They were the first.
Yeah.
'75. It was them, Dead Boys, and Blondie, bands like that. And I didn't see it until I seen them. They were showing it on the world news, and it's like, this is a music called punk rock, and this band is called the Sex Pistols. Lead singer Johnny Rotten, and they got Johnny going, well, it's not, and he said something, and then he goes, and bass player Sid Vicious punches himself in the face and cuts himself, and the guy's like, and I remember my old man going, typical biker, Sid Vicious, yeah, come with some of me and my friends, we'll show you how fucking vicious you are. And I was like, what is this? And then I started paying attention to it. I think more of the English stuff than American stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like Pistols weren't really it for me. Like that record, obviously, is classic, but for me, it was the Ramones. They seem to be more relatable for me. And I remember when rock and roll. In the Bay Area, and I don't know if it was like for you guys up here, but in Campbell, where I'm from, we had Gil Cable. That was like that was when cable first started coming out. And it gave, instead of 4 channels, it gave you 12 or 13 or something like that. And if you
in Dublin here, we had to have it.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get any reception. So we had cable, we had 12 channels. And channel 44 was on channel 12.
Exactly.
For us, right.
Yeah, same
channel
with us.
40 was on channel 11 if you got that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if you could hit the VHS stations to find the Mexican channels.
That's right.
And
channel 36 and channel 20. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but Gil Cable had, it was probably 1979, and they played Rock and Roll High School, the movie. And me and my brother, it was during the summertime, and they played it for a month, and they played it like 31 times. And we saw it.
Every time.
We would look at the TV guide, for Christ's sake, and we would highlight it, we would underline it. We didn't have highlight pens. And we watched it every single time it came on. And it's like one of those movies that, I could, probably spill out verbatim.
I can recite every line too.
Yeah,
So I love it. I love it.
That movie. So that was the change, and then about maybe a year later, a guy moved into town. He was from Pismo Beach, and he was a skinhead, shaved head. Was wearing a white T-shirt. Boots, rolled up jeans, and he was carrying a boombox, and he was playing like Black Flag or the Circle Jerks. And I remember him walking down the street. His name's Sean. My brother and him became good friends. And then my brother was the one who sort of like always would bring the music in. So the first time I heard Metallica, my brother.
So your brother was your introduction to this
first
type of
time I
stuff.
heard GBH, Discharge. Any of this music was through my brother, who was through Sean.
He was actually a writer for Zero magazine, I believe. Or
Yes, yeah.
He was.
Yeah. But he was a jack of all trades. He played in a few bands, you know what I mean? But yeah, he was the one that when how I fucking got turned on to Exodus. He went and saw Exodus at Ruthie's Inn, you know what I mean? And came back and was like, this is the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was always on the cusp of like anything new like that. If you wanted to know about it, my brother. I mean, he saw Metallica at the Keystone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I
was there.
So there you go.
We were there. Yeah, great.
But he was like, he would always he was one of those guys who could go into, different scenes or whatever. And he was just a music fan. So that anything that I got exposed to was definitely by him. All the punk stuff and any kind of the metal stuff, any kind of music really. I remember hearing about what were they called? What were they called? It was some kind of like blues band, Dixie Dregs.
Yeah, Dixie Dregs, Steve Morse.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That my brother liked that. But he also would listen to fucking, Kill the Lights and then fucking,
Pat Metheny.
Yeah. Just shit like that,
Uh-huh.
And so, and that's when my musical scope kind of got bigger. And then as I got older and more into my teens, of course it got closed because, I only liked, if you liked metal, you liked AC/DC and Motorhead, and that's all you were allowed to like.
As a punk.
Because everybody knew that Motorhead was punk.
Right.
AC/DC, I mean, fuck. And Rose Tattoo. You got to give Rose Tattoo.
And still, we were on tour in Germany about a year ago, and we were following Rose Tattoo around. They still do really well over there, too.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of my all-time favorite bands, and I had an opportunity to become friends with Peter Wells, the slide guitar, but he actually tattooed me.
Really?
Yeah, he was a tattooer. And we were over there, and I think it was 97 or 98, and he tattooed me. I got a Nice Boys Don't Play Rock and Roll tattoo from him at his tattoo shop. And he eventually ended up dying of cancer, unfortunately. But we remained pretty good friends. And, like, I actually have a picture of us, me and him, backstage. And I remember... he was telling me about the whole Sharpie thing, because that's kind of what they fell in line to. Is that it was like a whole kind of thing over there, the scene. and it was kind of, it's kind of like the punk rock thing in a lot of ways, So, and AC/DC, I guess, was part of that at some point too. But yeah, so any kind of music that came into my house, if it wasn't like my mom brought in Kenny Rogers and like Engelbert Humperdinck and like her Danish drinking music,
sure,
but like, which was like oi, but that's probably why I love that genre so much, because it was huge choruses, you know what I mean? Even though
I can hear it in Holger Dance.
Well,
I totally hear it in Holger Dance.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I feel like, a lot of my influences, like that record, Holger Dansk, is like my record collection. Just me, my version of presenting my record collection.
I love that album.
Thank you.
Mean, because it's a very well-rounded, aggressive record. It's got some really fun rock. You can hear the Motorhead in there. Yeah. You hear the Slayer in there a little bit. Yeah. You hear the AC/DC. That's an AC/DC song. You totally took AC/DC, which is, I love that though.
Well, for me, it's rock and roll. It's like,
exactly.
If it's, and I think I've said this throughout my whole life, if it's hard and fast and it has something to say, and you can tell a good song if you're listening and your foot's tapping and you don't realize it. And for me, I go more towards the aggressive style of music.
I'm that way too.
You know what I mean? And I want to hear loud, fast. I want to hear screeching vocals. I want to hear those things, but also like a big chorus. You know what I mean? So for me, if it's hard and fast and street, that's what's gonna resonate with me.
Yeah, your formula works well though, because I listen to writing from the three, from obviously Bastards and Rancid and Old Firm Casuals. You could tell that in your writing, the influences that you have. Because I hear in Rancid, I hear a lot of reggae and ska in there and stuff, and I don't hear that in Old Firm Casuals. Old Firm Casuals more straightforward, aggressive, like say Discharge or Oi Punk. What I mean? Like, and to me, and to me, that's what appeals. I like all of them, but I mean, I see how you can chat. You switch gears. You know what I mean? And you do it quite well.
Well, thank you.
And when you do it, what you're going for. Like you don't just stay in one area of punk. You're not just crass or oi or you ska. You go all and you take it all. And I appreciate that as a musician. And talk about that from going from, when you're writing from Rancid and then you're writing with the Bastards and then you're writing with Old Firm Casuals. What's your mentality as you're looking? Is there something like, okay, I'm writing in Rancid now, so now I've got to kind of think like this, or I'm writing Old Firm Casual stuff, so it's kind of got to be more like this, and then Bastards got to be like this. You know what I mean? Is that the mentality?
Well, with the Rancid thing, it's like that's me, Matt, and Tim, and Brandon, and that's the chemistry, right? And I think we have like our thing and the way that we work. It's like you don't, and I'm sure anybody who's in a band for a certain amount of time, it's like telepathic. It's like you don't actually have to talk to somebody to know where they're going. Like I know where the chord change is going to happen or where it's going to go prior to anybody explaining.
That's Exodus, right? I know what he's going to do, but two beats, two measures before it comes
straight
in.
Up.
He's going to go quarter time, half. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's Exodus.
I remember one time Rancid was playing. It's when we had Brett Reed still playing drums with us. We were somewhere, and we're playing Adina off the first record. We all made the same mistake at the same time and ended the song like 45 seconds way too early. There was supposed to be another little bridge and then another thing, and we all ended. And I said, after we stopped, I went back, and everybody kind of went back because everybody kind of felt like something was a little off on that one. I said, did we just end that too early? And Matt goes, yeah, I think we just ended that way too early. But it's like that's how psychically you can get connected.
Right.
As far as the songwriting goes, it's like with Rancid, it's all of us. It's the four of us in a room, and basically we sit down with our guitars, and Brandon, will play on his drum seat or stool or whatever, and we just kind of work it out. We kind of hash it out. Okay, is this going to go here? What's this? Let's try this or whatever. So it's the four of us, and we do it very quietly before we go bring it into a very loud, headphones and the whole thing. And just see if it's, because if it works, we feel like if it works in that dynamic, it probably is going to work in that dynamic,
sure.
Right? So, and sometimes when you're blasting at a million miles an hour, it's hard to hear what everybody else is doing. And it's like, the rhythm, like, I try to play off of Tim, and Tim tries to play off me, but I'm always like, my role when I walk in, and I no way think of myself in the same even league or category as Malcolm Young, but I want to come in as that, just hold it down, play to the drums, because if me and the drums are tight, then the bassist can play off the drums, and then Tim can kind of go a little bit more of a wild trip, you know what I mean, and bring that Angus thing,
sure,
using AC/DC as an example, but
And they're all witches, by the way. Every one of them. I mean, Matt's a witch. Tim's a witch. They're like,
I'm lucky.
I feel the same way because I played with Skolnick and Peterson, then with Holt. You know what I mean? I've been very fortunate to play with good guys.
Yeah.
Through my career, the Tendon Project with the Strapping Young Lad guys. You know what I mean? I've been fortunate, I think, and I was like, man, because they're all beasts, every one of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like when you have that kind of like at your disposal. And Freeman just, he's from a different fucking planet. Like, he's the guy that can pick up any instrument in 30 days from that point. He knows it back and forth. I'm doing a solo record right now. It's kind of like it's not so much acoustic. It's more like a Billy Bragg kind of thing. And I had him play some mandolin on it. And he's a mandolin player. But he can play bass like nobody's business.
I'm telling you.
Because
I was listening to a few Rancid albums over the last couple of days. And, God, his chops are just...
No, he's...
I mean, Lars, talk about bringing up the bottom end. He's a great white shark coming out of the water, dude. He's like, man, it's just his musicianship... It's just right. You know what I mean? It's like
he's the best
too, though.
Yeah. But Matt is probably the best musician in Rancid. And I think that as songwriters, we all kind of how do I say it? We sort of complement each other because going out, and Tim, did the Transplants, and Matt did Delvo's Brigade, and then I did the Bastards, and we all kind of got a different perspective because the Bastards was close to Rancid, but it was a different style, but it was more of my personality in the music. And when I went to that, I was the only guitar player on that first record, so it's kind of like I had to kind of think about, okay, so what was the other guitar player going to do to complement the rhythm guitar player? So I had to start thinking in a bigger scope, right? And then so when those songs were written, me and Tim wrote those songs together, and then when the Casuals came along, I wanted to keep it a 3-piece at first because I just thought it would be easier to deal with. I didn't know. Honestly, when that band first started, I met Casey, and then Casey introduced me to Paul, and I basically said, and we ended up going to some place in some fucking place like in Martinez or something, and the guy, it was an by the hour rehearsal studio, and it was an old dude. He must have been, I swear to God, 90 years old, and his name was Bob Dylan. Okay, and
spelt the same way.
Yeah, 100%. And we were playing, and we were writing kind of our first songs, and 90-year-old Bob was on a fucking like 15-foot ladder trying to change a ceiling light, and we were just kind of like watching him because it's like he's teetering. It's not like he's a young man here. I don't know what happened to Bob. Hopefully he's...
Well, I guess he didn't fall, huh?
No, but he would be 100 now. But and I just remember those times. But when I went into that, I had to like, okay, these songs have to be written for a 3-piece. So it's not about lead guitars anymore. Now it's like if the lead's got to kind of match. Because what I always fucking hated is like when you had like a 4-piece band, guitar, bass, singer, drummer, and you would the bass player would be holding down the fort, doing the roots during the solo, and the solo would just be it would just be like this mosh, and it didn't make sense with the song. It would just be like, oh, that's the solo break, you know what I mean? And so I had to kind of come out as like, okay, what can I do as far as like a lead player to kind of make it sound like a rhythm guitar and a lead at the same time? Does that make sense?
Sure.
And so, but then, so that was another challenge. Like, how am I going to write, these songs to match, just so 3 people can go up on the stage, and what you hear on the record is what you get on the stage. That was important to me, right? And important to us as a band. So I had to start writing like that. But then as we, 3 months later, because I remember when I initially talked to him, I said, listen, let's just go play a few shows, just have some fun. And who knows what's going to happen. We'll probably just fade away into obscurity, but we're just going to go have some fun. About 3 months later, I said, we got to get together, because then all of a sudden, like, a record label wanted to get involved, and we were getting offered shows out the door. And I was like, okay, this is something that I never expected it to be. What do you guys want to do? Because we have an opportunity here. We can either just fucking fade into obscurity. We had put out, our 7-inch was about to come out, or we hadn't actually found a home yet. The label had come in and said, we'll put it out. And I said, this is our opportunities, right? What do you guys want to do? And they were like, well, let's give it a shot. And so that's how basically we met in Casey's backyard in Oakland. And I said, well, what do you guys want to do? Let's give it a shot. But as time...
What year was this, Lars?
This was 2010. 2010. Because we'll be 10 years next year. Uh-huh. Or is it this year?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah. Fuck.
I know. Flies, doesn't it?
Oh, my God.
It just flies.
Oh, my God.
It just flies.
Yeah, so... But then when we put out like 15 7-inches in a matter of a year. Uh-huh. We were just so prolific. It's like every other week I felt like we were in the studio, because I was just coming up with stuff. Like I tapped into a source. I was doing everything that I could, and I was just going. I was keeping it like, okay, a 3-piece. And then when we sat down to do This Means War, I was like, okay. We had talked about getting another guitar player, and Gabe, who plays with us now, was playing in a band called the Sydney Ducks, and he'd been around the scene forever. Uh-huh. And I think he played in a few thrash bands. He played in a lot of punk bands. He was on a band that was on SST for forget what they're called, but and he'd done some touring. And so as we were kind of writing that record, and the songs were kind of, one of the things I learned in Rancid is that if a song starts taking shape, you don't get in the way. You kind of let it become what it's going to. You throw the kitchen sink at it, see what sticks, whatever falls by the wayside. You can we try all of our songs in Rancid. Like if we come up with a riff, we'll try it like a ska way, we'll try it like a fast punk way, we'll try it mid-tempo, we'll try it all different ways. I feel like it's like that's how you sort of see where it can be, what's best suited.
Also
for it.
Creates hills and valleys, right?
And also it keeps your mind working,
sure,
and gives you. And sometimes a beautiful mistake happens, right?
Sure.
And fucking a lot of Rancid songs are beautiful mistakes.
Toxic Waltz is the biggest.
See, there you go.
The biggest mistake. I wrote the lyrics as a joke. Those lyrics were written in like 25 minutes. And all I did was I took a parody of a 50s dance song and just jotted it down. And then I came to the studio the next day, and I go, hey, dude, I told Gary, I just wrote these last night. They're kind of funny. I go, just silly. People won't take it seriously if we record this. I just want to do it for fun. And he reads them. He goes, these are actually fucking brilliant. I'm like, really, dude? I go, flailing around. I go, so don't be a dunce and dance like a runt. It's kind of like, and
it's punk, dude.
It's the biggest fucking song that Exodus every night. That's what they want to hear. So I understand.
Yeah.
Making mistakes and going, whoa.
Yeah.
Tapped into something.
Yeah. But that's part of the process too.
It sure it is.
And we also have a rule that I tick into everything that I do is like, there's no bad ideas. You try everything. If somebody says, hey, let's go A instead of the fucking, F. Okay, let's try it. Go through it. I don't know. And sometimes even the one who suggests the change, it goes, no, let's keep it to the F or whatever. But I think you got to kind of experiment like that in those environments, because that's when to do it. In Rancid, we go into the studio and we're pretty fucking quick. We don't spend months. We go in for 5 days and we bang out a record. Uh-huh. And then maybe we take another 5 days and tighten shit up, and then that's it. And so it's 10 days total spent on a record, maybe, and then maybe another 10 days to mix it. So it's like, it's very quick. And that's the way the Casuals were. We would go in, bang it all out. We wouldn't rehearse before. I actually like going into a studio and seeing what comes from it. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes the beautiful mistakes happen there. You know what I mean? Because if you so rehearsed and you go in, that works on some levels for people. For me,
we don't ever do it that way. Exodus does not do it that way.
It's
everybody knows that Gary and Tom are up in North writing the music right now, and then we'll go in September to start recording the record, and obviously drums will come first, but once rhythm guitars go down, it's all open. I'll do vocals one day, and then the bass will come in. We're actually going to all record together up there.
That's right.
Which is going to be great, which we haven't done. When I did Blood In, Blood Out, Gary was in Europe with Slayer, and I did it with Jack, and this is going to be a full band thing, and I got all excited when I found out. We mean we're all going to be up there together, all 5 of us? How great is that? I think you really, that bonding is so important for that, to make them to make the product be the band. If it's Exodus, it's those 5 guys that are up there and they're grinding and they're working each other and telling each other, nah, man, try this. Or no, dude, I heard this. Try it. Like, you know what I mean? And
yeah. I mean, if you think of the best, I know for me personally, the best records I've ever been a part of, we've all been in that room. You know what I mean? At the same time, that's the way Rancid does it. We're all in the same room with the drums, headphones. Obviously you're isolated or whatever your amps are. But it's the energy, and it's like you don't do the thing. For us, we'll do a song 3 times.
So you record live then? You guys
100%.
Really?
That's what we've always done.
I love that. We've never done that. We've never done a lot going on with what we're doing.
Yeah, but there is a lot going on.
Never done that.
I think for us, and I brought this with the Casuals and with the Bastards too. It's more of that that unsure, the desperation. The how would you say it? It's like intimacy, but you're unsure of it. It's like trying to get laid for the first time. Like you really want to go do it, but you just don't really know how to approach it. Like, does my shirt come off first or does my pants?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I know I'm hard.
I know.
You know what I mean? I know that I got to put that into that, but it's the process.
The mechanics of getting there. You know what I mean?
Is this going to be okay?
What a great analogy.
You know what I mean? What's my mom going to think?
Exactly.
I don't know, maybe not. Maybe, but my point is that it's each time, when you get that urgency. That to me is like in punk music, at least the kind that I've been a part of. I think the urgency is the most important. If it gets too flat, it starts sounding like a glazed donut, and you can hear it a lot in music that comes out these days. When I listen to some of these, sometimes I'll listen to that metal station on Sirius, and every single fucking band sounds like, oh, this is what you do to get this, and then you got your standouts.
Yes.
Like your Lamb of Gods.
Yes.
in bands like that.
I know that. I feel the same way about
that.
metal.
To me sounds urgent. That to me sounds real. That to me sounds authentic.
Sure.
I'm not, and it's just, and then you got the parts where I'm gonna sing like this, and then I'm gonna scream like I'm not getting my way. It's just like,
I'm not. Yes,
come on,
I get it.
Just stop.
I know.
Just stop. Go get your fucking green apple lollipop and go sit in the corner. I don't want to hear your whining and how it sounds like whiny. Yeah. No, there's no room for whining in metal or punk.
No, there isn't.
But anyways, I'm sorry, I've taken inventory.
You can take inventory here on the ball. We want to know that stuff.
But that to me makes it sound stale. So I don't really, I'm not going to mention band names. I'm not really that type of guy. But there's a few that come to my mind when I think about bands like that, and it just sounds. It doesn't sound real. It sounds. It sounds
like they took a formula from this, took a formula from this, and they took this formula, and then they went like that and put it all together. I have the same opinion on some of these, but especially our first album came out in 1985, so we've been around a long time.
Yeah.
So I've seen them come and go, and that's the thing too. I've seen bands, Lars, that I was, on the mid bill on the big, and then I've been on the same festival right in the mid bill, and they're back on the bottom again. You know what I mean? Because if they maybe had a certain time of crowd. I mean, we were, I've seen it all that has come through, and then that type of thing happens. People know if it's genuine or not. They know if you're real.
That's the thing. My filter is my 12-year-old. Because like they're the ones that are gonna figure it out. I know,
and they'll tell you too.
Yeah. So it's like what they're jamming is like, well, first of all, my 12-year-old's a full.
Yours are metalheads too.
Straight up. It's just
they don't do punk at all.
They like punk, but metal. I mean, Wolfgang. He's Exodus, Slayer, Lamb of God. Fucking Overkill.
Right.
Creator.
Love Creator.
Yeah, fucking Creator rules.
Yeah, I love Creator.
But he likes that kind of jam. But I'll play him some other stuff. Like some of the stuff, I go, what do you think about this? And he goes, nah, it's all right. It's just not, whatever. So,
right.
And that's how I can kind of tell what's good and what's not good. So like, a lot of those casual songs, my 8-year-old, he's 8 now, but he's a drummer.
Right.
So I would go down in our got a little back room.
Jam with them.
Yeah.
You put it on.
And I would put the riff. I go, okay, what are you going to do to this? And my 8-year-old would help me realize some of these riffs, like Thunderbolt. When I came up with that riff, I said, you need to come downstairs. I got this riff. I want you to play to this riff. And he goes, well, what's it like? And I said, just imagine like kind of mid-tempo thrash is what I say to him. And he goes, okay, I think I know what you mean. So, and he was like, 6 at the time. And so I go, and he starts going. And it just like and then it boom, boom, boom. Like right. the whole thing. And I was like, wow, this kid's got an instinct, right? And he ended up naming that song. But it was funny because after we recorded it, I said, hey, Soren, check it out. We did this song that me and you did, and it didn't have a title then. And he's listening to it and he goes, oh, Paul did my drum beat, I see. And I was like, yeah, Paul did your drum beat. So he was really stoked that well,
that's the groove that was there though.
Yeah.
But it was genuine because like you said, you took him down there. This is a kid who doesn't have a Rolodex of music in his head.
Correct.
What grabs you? What is the thing that grabbed you? As what did you hear as this kid?
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He
exactly.
played what he heard behind the rhythm in what he's related to from what he listens to.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so all the mechanics of that's great. Now, mine are in Hatred as well. Mine
sure.
My kids play
yeah.
as well. I think that's awesome that
they're a good band too.
Yeah, they are.
I like them.
They wanted to be, they're very talented like that. Especially the main guitar, the guy who writes everything, because the kid's a witch. And so it just took years of, listening to Dad going, hey man, if you want to be at this level, like to Nick, your feet got to go a little quicker. Because Joey Jordison was from Slipknot was his guy. He loved it. Right. That was when Nick was 9. Was like when Slipknot started coming out.
Yeah.
Nick's going to be 27 this year.
Wow.
And he was like, wow. How it fly? It goes quick, Lars.
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
My oldest is 30.
Well, it's like I'm thinking like where I'm at now. It's so strange, because when I think about the first time I heard music and it was Kiss. And I was
okay. Liz, how old are you now? Because you were born in 71.
Correct.
So you're 5,
4 or 5,
4 or 5. So
yeah, it was at
that's in their heyday then.
Yes, it was at Kurt Heindel's house. I remember it's one of my brother's friends. He had Kiss posters all over his wall. I remember I had to sleep in his bed on a sleepover, and Gene Simmons' "Spitting Blood" was the poster above my head, and I was so scared. And they were watching Creature Features in the next room.
Nice.
And I was like, fucking. It was so gnarly. It scared the shit out of me. But it was like one of those things. It was like, it's like the car crash. You don't want to look, but you have to.
Oh God.
So, and then once I started kind of feeling that, and and then when we went to Denmark, when my mom and dad split up, my cousin was into like Slade and like, who were they called? Oh, it was Slade, Sweet.
He just passed.
Mabel. Yeah.
He just passed.
Mabel was a band, Chicory Tip or something like that. It was like a lot of that kind of like boot boy kind of shit.
Gary Glitter?
Yeah, shit like that. Just the big boot boy stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And then and now when I look back, I saw what Kiss was doing.
Uh-huh.
They were taking that boot boy big thing. Because if you listen to those drums, you know what I mean? Peter's holding it down, but it's also a different approach.
Sure.
But it sounds massive.
Yes, it does.
And then Ace, like that was my first guitar guy.
Uh-huh.
That's why I wanted to play a Les Paul. That's why, I mean, that was my dude. Like, you can hear me rip. I mean, you listen to a Rancid record, you're hearing Lars Frederickson trying to do Ace Frehley.
Really?
That's straight up what it is. I mean, it's straight up what it is. I mean, and Jake Burns and, from Stiff Little Fingers, that was a big influence. But the rhythm guy was always Malcolm because he was the best.
Malcolm and Ace are your kings.
100%. 100%.
And you put them boom, boom like that.
Yes, I put Malcolm a little higher than Ace.
But Lemmy above everybody.
Everybody. 51% Lemmy, 49%.
It says right there.
Yeah.
49% motherfucker, 51% son of a bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, but so Lemmy, not only being able to actually spend time with that guy.
Us too. I was very fortunate to spend time with Lemmy.
And just to talk about, I remember one time we talked, because all you had to do is either tell a joke, talk about history, or talk about rock and roll.
He loved history. His dude was the biggest. He'd tell you shit about World War II and World War I, and
straight up,
didn't even know.
Straight up. No, I mean he was very special, and he always treated me, and I think he knew how big of a fan I was, but he was like one of those guys who would like give me the backstory about certain things Motorhead that I never read in an interview or whatever, but like, and he always made it like free to like, hey, that photo shoot of Ace of Spades. And he's like, oh man, I got a story. Like, the one reason why Fast Eddie or whatever is wearing one side, it was a shoelace that was holding up his leather jeans because they split or something like that. And then he fell on his ass down the hill because I guess that was done outside on a construction site. It looks like the desert,
right?
But it was like in this place in Wigan, where it was like it was at a construction site, and I think that they just not photoshopped, but that blue sky that's behind him, it was like cut out.
It had to be because there's never blue sky in England.
Oh yeah,
there's
right.
No goddamn way that's good.
England, come for the food, stay for the weather.
Exactly. You know that. You're a fish and chips guy. See, every time you're over there, I see all the restaurants.
I'm such a fucking Anglophile. Like
you are. You should go over there. You are England. Like you feel at home over there when you're there. I know you do.
I think it's because the Danes were over there for so many hundreds of years.
Think so? Because I mean,
we've conquered and fucked them all up for so many years.
It's funny because I watch, I follow you on socials, and that when you're over there on tour and stuff, and I see that, I'm like, God, this dude just fits. He is right in.
No, when I'm
fish and chips in Brighton.
Well, that's what I mean. When I was 19, I joined the UK Subs, which was a pretty well known punk band.
They were, and
probably one of the first kind of wave 70s, and I think being at that age, going over there, and I'm a kid from Campbell, California.
Sure.
It's kind of like
San Jose, Dublin. I know. I'm a kid from Dublin.
Yeah, what I mean? We kind of have an attitude. You know what I mean? We're a little bit rougher. We're very rough around. We're not as refined as people from San Francisco or Berkeley.
No.
We
are not refined.
We are not. We are a little bit. We're rough around the edges. You know what I mean?
That's why they moved us out. My parents moved everybody out of the city into the suburbs because they were just like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
no, it is.
Yeah. So my thing was like, where I grew up, it's low income housing, and I always was sort of a wild animal in a lot of ways, And when I went over to England for the first time, I'm 19 years old. I'm playing in like one of my all-time favorite bands with guys who are old enough to be my dad, right? And I learned a lot. So when that band started, I was 5.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in the band, which is, so sort of bizarre, for me. And, as a young kid, I think the culture, I just absorbed it all, and plus I was into it prior. The records, the music that I was into, like a lot of a lot of the English punk is what I think resonated with me, like GBH and Discharge, Exploited. And then you had the oi bands like The Last Resort and The Business and Blitz, Foreskins, and the whole and the whole punk and skinhead thing before the skinhead thing sort of got like got more attached to the right wing Nazi bullshit, which is it's not what that's about. It started with Jamaican culture in the 60s, and the whole style comes from the black kids that were living in England that were from Jamaica, so. it's like for me, when the oi music happened and you saw the punks and the skinheads coexisting, I never really, I wasn't smart enough. I was 11 years old and 10 years old when I saw these things. I never made the distinction that there was a difference, right? To me, it just seemed like you could be punk, you could be a skinhead, but you were all part of this one thing, right. And that's the one thing that I found in the punk rock community, and why I gravitated to that music is because it was about inclusiveness. By if you were a weirdo or you couldn't find your place to fit in, this is a place where you could do it.
And nobody cared.
And nobody gave a shit.
Fat, skinny,
it didn't matter if you were gay, straight, male, female, black, white.
Sure.
I mean, I grew up in we were like one of the only white families in my neighborhood. And it's like the one commonality that we all had is we were fucking poor.
Right.
It didn't matter the color of your skin. I didn't see race until I actually left my hometown.
Uh-huh.
That's when it was like, oh, somebody, said something, some comments or whatever. And you're like, whoa, that's the first time I ever sort of understood the complexities of that. You know what I mean? And I saw, and then later on your eyes kind of get open and you see, these things. But to me, like, just being part of something, and like it was so inclusive. Like I said, it didn't matter what color you were. It didn't matter what, if you wanted to believe. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. None of that bullshit mattered. It was like it was outside of society. We were our own thing. It's kind of like, any kind of subculture in the music, whether it be the thrash
metal,
thing.
Thrash was the same way.
Exactly.
We were this sector of bands and we all identified with it. We were all guys who liked punk rock as well as liking Iron Maiden and Saxon and Motorhead and the Scorpions and Richie Blackmore and people like that. So it was kind of...
Well, I remember seeing Cliff Burton wearing a fucking Misfits t-shirt or Hetfield wearing a GBH t-shirt.
Right.
Or, whatever, fucking your boy wearing the Broken Bones t-shirt.
Sure.
I forget his name, the other guitar player.
Rick.
God damn. Sorry, Rick. But, I mean, I saw him in a Broken Bones t-shirt. Sure. I was like, okay.
Killing Joke.
Yeah.
I got a poster in there. He's in my house. A poster frame. He's wearing a Killing Joke shirt.
Yeah, I mean, but that's...
I got Corrosion of Conformity on in the same thing. It's like we identified with the aggressiveness, the rawness, the socialism of it, the social awareness of it.
Yeah, it's like
very
a social
aware.
conscience,
I mean, if you wanted to go to listen to something that's real, listen to a thrash metal song. They're not going to write about how pretty the girl is and how we want to go and get laid. We didn't write any about those.
No. But that's the thing. The Bay Area at that time when the punk was heavy and the thrash started happening. I mean, there was desperate times around here.
I agree.
I mean, it was Reagan era. Fucking joblessness,
sure. Voodoo
economics, man. I mean, I think it was like a couple million people were unemployed in the Bay Area, so it wasn't like it was like an easy place to get along. It's not like it is now. You got Silicon Valley and every tech nerd's a millionaire,
right?
You know what I mean?
It wasn't like that at all.
Quite the fucking polar opposite.
No, exactly.
It was. I mean, where I grew up, and I know in like Berkeley, Oakland, and the San Francisco, those were some pretty gnarly places.
The Omni was like,
that
dude,
was
once you got in was a great club. When you came out,
dude,
watch your back.
Watch your fucking back.
I mean, that place was in the middle of
gnarly
trouble area.
That was 51st, the 51st and Telegraph.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, the trenches back in the day.
The trenches. It was right because I remember we used to go to. Was that Italian deli right there? It's closed down now. It doesn't matter.
Luca?
No.
Was it Luca?
No, it was.
Because Flint's was right down the street.
Correct.
Flint's
Barbecue.
Flint's was right down the street. And we used to go to Flint's at 2 a.m. and wait in a line with, all the bar crowd was out there. And, we were like these white heavy metal kids in a line of, all these older black guys and black ladies that have just left from, dancing or whatever like that. And we'd walk and they'd like, what's up, baby? What you want? And we'd be like, I'd like to get the large ribs, please. And like, how would you like your sauce? And be like, hot. So I remember the lady looking at me go, burn your white tongue off. I go, really? It's hot. And you have the bread to scoop it up. And it was cool. It was very...
No, it was tense. It was very tense. But I mean, and that's the thing. And that's like when I started kind of figuring out like kind of the really, the way it wasn't just this.
What happened in Campbell is not how the rest of the world. The same thing here in Dublin. What happened here in Dublin was that once we went over the hill, was a whole new world.
It was a whole different world.
We're going to take a break here. We'll be back with Lars Frederickson real quick. What's up, everybody? And I'm very fortunate to have such great people that sponsor this show. One of my very, very first sponsors has been Death Wish Coffee. Jeff Ayers and all of the people at Death Wish Coffee have been so great to me, and they are the ones who give us all the stuff to send to all you guys. So if you need some zippy in the morning or some zippy at night, this stuff has got some balls to it. So get some Death Wish Coffee. Tell me what you think. I have my own hot sauce. It's called Zetro's Toxic Shock. Where can you get it though? Well, now that I'm not necessarily on tour anymore, you have to go to hellahotsauce.com and get your Zetro's Toxic Shock there. Now, I know a lot of you have had it and bought it when I was on tour and love it. And if you miss it, that's what you're going to have to do. Kyle Colson has so many other flavors and so many different heats. You'll find one that you like. A lot of other artists also have hot sauce to them, so you might check his catalog out. But if you want to get some Zetro's Toxic Shock, go to hellahotsauce.com and get you some today. Cameo.com, that's where you can get a personal shout out from me. Anniversaries, birthdays, graduations, anything, I will be happy to do it. It's very personal, very one-on-one, and I like to get into the ones that I do to make you guys who are receiving feel very special. So, Cameo.com, I'm ready to give you one now. Would you like to have a 10-minute conversation with me? One-on-one, not filtered, no, nothing. Just a conversation, a Zoom call with me. Go to intro.live. Intro.live is where you can actually meet and greet your artists, favorite artists, one-on-one in their face. Ask them anything. You can ask me anything. That's the platform. Want to know about a song, a vocal technique, why I wrote this song about this, what these lyrics meant, anything. You get an actual 10-minute conversation with me. But you got to go to intro.live, set up an account, and then put your name on my waiting list. As soon as I create a couple of days or a date to do this in, Intro will send you a message saying that I've got some availability, and then you can pick for yourself if the timing works right for you. The only place to do that is Intro Live. Hope to talk to you guys. Everyone, we are back with Lars Frederickson, and we are talking punk rock in the vault today. It's great. Again, I know you guys have enjoyed what we've been talking about because I have enjoyed this conversation. I wanted to bring up something about fashion, about the punk fashion, and this was the way I took punk rock when I was a kid, and I was, again, seeing the Sex Pistols was in '77. I saw them on the news, and I was 13 at the time. And I was aware of hard music, Zeppelin, which they didn't play on the radio back then. They didn't have classic rock stations because it wasn't classic rock yet.
It was current.
So it was current rock. They played whatever they played. Now they Fleetwood Mac or Tom Petty, but not that. You know?
Yeah.
And so I heard that, and when I watched punk, I noticed that there was a lot of bobby pins and stuff like that, and patches not sewn but thrown together. Now, when I looked back on the New York stuff, like the Ramones, which was actually earlier, it wasn't fashioned the same. And to me, the way it looked like that punk music came from, we're going to dress like this and look like this because we can't do anything about Parliament or society or the police. So when we get on the buses and we come in public,
you're going to know who we are.
Look at us. You're going to see our fin, and you're going to look at us like, ooh, look at that. And that was, now you can go to school and you'll see a kid with a green fin coming in a second grade photo. You know what I mean? Which kind of irks me a little bit, but I remember when that was the whole idea of it. What's your take on that?
Well, for me, like, to be as outrageous as possible was kind of the goal,
right?
And it was like,
we used to put cross of irons and swastikas on just because it was ruthless,
not
knowing what it meant. You know what I mean?
Okay, so here's a true story. So when I was about 11, I had an American flag, and it was about this big, and in the stars, I put swastikas. because I saw Sid Vicious and I saw, and this is like 1982.
Right.
83 maybe. And I remember I came back to my house because, you knew about the Nazis or whatever, but it's not like you thought, oh, I'm a Nazi. I did, like I said, I was pretty, I can't say I was protected, but my point is this. I walked into my house, my mom's apartment, and my mom like caught me, and I walked through the hallway and she goes, "Hey, Lars, come here." And it was a tone in her voice that I'd never heard before. And I came walking back out, and she said, "Let me see what's on what's on your back of your pants." And I turned around and I said, it was an American flag. And she goes, "Why did you put that on the stars?" I said, "I don't know, it's punk." And she goes, "Well, it's not very cool." And I said, "That's the whole point." She goes, "Sit down." And that's when I found out, like, to the extreme of how my mom grew up. When my mom was 4 years old, that's when World War II, Nazis, and because she grew up in Denmark,
right?
And she started telling me about kind of what her experience was with that. How my uncle was part of the resistance and how she saw her family get killed and these things, and the gravity of the situation that I was just taking, as just a fuck you.
Right.
I didn't know that
it's ruthless.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It was rebellion. It wasn't about like, Aryan race, and it was just about punk.
Right.
It was like, fuck you. This is a symbol that I know that might piss you off.
Exactly. That's why I wear it.
And that's why I wear it.
Right.
But when she really broke it down to me and started kind of giving me a broader view of what her experience was, I realized, oh shit, this is a powerful thing that, you can't just take lightly. And I stopped kind of wearing that kind of symbolism as a result of that. I think I maybe wore that bum flap a few more times, but I think that was the first time it was put in my consciousness, about like what that represented to a lot of people. And I didn't really realize until obviously later on when you start learning about the genocide and
when you get older and you become more mature.
Correct.
To really realize that.
I barely had hair on my balls when I was doing this. I didn't know what my voice hadn't even changed yet. Sure. So it's my point is that like once I kind of understood the gravity of that symbolism and how misused it was. But now it doesn't matter even if it was like an ancient symbol. I know the Buddhists still use that symbol. It's an old symbol. It was on the San Francisco fucking telephone poles. And
it's originally Japanese symbol, isn't it? That's why I thought it was. Japanese.
I don't really know the true origins of it.
The Germans stole it from the Japanese. That's what I was told.
I know that it's like it could be an old rune symbol. But I don't really know. Honestly, like for me, like once that kind of the hate, where we are now in society, it's like we all know better. I think the problem that we're having though is everything's so fucking polarized, and it's like you're either with me or you're against me. It's like there's no more
mid ground.
No, and that's
and I'm not happy about that either.
No,
really
because it's like if you want somebody to understand your point of view, then you should sit down and rationally discuss. But when you see these 20-somethings, and every generation is different, granted. But it's like it's not as if they're interested in your point of view. They want to give you their monologue, their diatribe, so to speak. And if you don't agree with that, and even if you do agree with that, you're still wrong. There's no room. It's like everybody's shaming everybody. It's like that's not how you can get things done.
I try to say it all the time that we live in a country where you have choices. So if you choose one side, one party or the other, that's your choice, and there shouldn't be any hard repercussion either way for that. That's why we live in a democracy. But if people don't like what you
look,
have
if you're gonna spit some racist shit to my face, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking face.
That's
okay.
Yeah,
you're just asking for it.
I don't think anybody does that really in as much.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's honestly, we are unique, this country, with the principle of freedom of speech. We're allowed to say whatever we want to say, however we want to say it, but that doesn't mean that there's not repercussions. of what you say.
Obviously.
Okay? So, but that whole idea of being able to be free in our speech, in the gods we pray to, if there is one, or how we live our lives, if we want to smoke weed, sleep with the, whatever. I don't give a shit who anybody sleeps with, what God they pray to. It doesn't matter to me. That's to me it's very linear. It's very small. It's minutia. What's important to me is that how things become fact is when people discuss. And I think a lot of people are basing their opinions and making them into their own facts. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Sure.
Okay? Like, if you would, to me, my personal opinion, if you can't see that our president is a fucking idiot, then I don't know how I could explain to you that he's a fucking idiot, right? But it's kind of like, I also, you leave room enough for people to figure out their own mistakes. Because if you try to tell people how to think, how to act, how to look, what to say, what not to say, that's fascism. And it can come from both the left and the right. Okay? And that's just my belief. And I grew up with my mother experiencing fascism firsthand. So I'm not saying I'm the expert on it, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what that is. And for me, it's more important to try to better understand someone's point of view than to completely knock it out. I might not agree with it, okay? But that's also my right. But I'm not going to base my facts are my facts, but it's not like they're not like scientific facts. I have a moral compass that I live by.
I think that's how everybody should go by, more or less. I think the moral compass is better than...
If you don't fit in my moral compass, I normally just go, see you later. You know what I mean? I surround myself with like-minded people. I feel like I've been very outspoken on the matters of in my lifetime about race and religion and things like that. I think if people know where I stand, and I don't think I have to prove myself. But what we need to do is try to understand each other better. I think it would solve a lot of problems. And I think that, it's all about financial. It's all finances.
It's always been that way.
It's always about, it's a class system that, and the distraction is religion, race, these things, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I always felt like, these things that are quote unquote make us different are also used to put us at odds with each other, and,
do you think, and I do a lot, I think the news and the media has completely turned what is real, into a circus. I think...
Well, it's sensationalism.
I think we know too much than we should know, or we're not knowing the right things that are put out there, and I think that...
Well, it's hard to trust a news source that is monetized.
And it's hard to trust anything
look at our prisons are monetized. They make money.
Sure.
That's why there's a lot of people in prison.
Oh, they want to keep you in the system.
It's like people of color in this country have no fucking chance. Yeah. They don't. I'm sorry. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the stark reality. You know what I mean? And
that's because of obviously, in areas where you're growing up, in the things that you're not exposed to.
But that's the whole system, though.
Exactly, I agree with that.
That's that's the system that in place. It's hard to, they're not going to give you a chance. There's been fucking racism in this country since the fucking birth of it. We were founded by religious zealots, for Christ's sake, who were too fucking religious for England, so England kicked them out.
I think it's going to be that way forever. It's just the way it's
I'm hoping that because and thank God for this pandemic, because I think that there's no distractions right now. that people are actually seeing the real issues. We're actually seeing, fuck, man, it's like the police brutality on the black community. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. And I've been busted with my friends who were black, and I saw how they got treated a little differently than I did.
Yeah, but I've never had a cop. With all due respect, I don't like cops, and I've never had a great experience with one. And I've always been around. My father was a biker, and they didn't like them. And I've always had tattoos and long hair, and there's never been one time. Excuse me, sir, can I get your license? Okay, well, I was just pulling you over because you had a taillight out. Get out of the car. I've never had a good experience with a cop, even though I'm totally legal now. Lars, if I drive by a cop, straight up. I fucking freak out like, oh shit, what am I doing? 10 to 200. Oh.
Yeah, but
I don't know why I get that feeling, and I can imagine what it's like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing about it is we're never gonna know. And
you look back, what was it? 92. Ice-T, Body Count had a song called Cop Killer.
Oh, fuck,
and
that
remember
was
remember the shit he caught? Because we were on tour with them at the time.
Right.
And when we were on that tour, the police were protesting, were picketing us in every city, the actual police. And in the corrupt cities like Chicago, we had to have people like security escort us in and out of the venue because we didn't know what the off-duty police, and there were hundreds of them,
Yeah. And
that was all speaking about, this cop who had, it was a story about this guy who's written, he'd gotten his ass beat by cops, and he's going back out, and he's going to have his way, but they didn't look at it like
no, of course they never do, because they see a black man saying cop killer, so they immediately think enemy,
he's trying to kill cops.
And Ice-T, and I know that you've had your experience, I've had my experience, that dude is fucking insanely cool. Real as fuck, and knows so much about music. Him and Chuck D too. Chuck D's another one.
Yeah, I met him. We were at an award show. Exodus was getting an award a few years ago, and Prophets of Rage were there, and Chuck D was there, and he was a really nice guy.
No, he's super cool, man.
Yeah. Ice cool. We've known because he was an Exodus fan for years, and I remember meeting him like back in '90. He came to the show, and I remember Gary and Rick. We were out to dinner in Vancouver, and he goes, "Hey, Ice-T's," and I'm all, Ice-T. Guess like a rap got colors, right? They're like, I'm so metal, I didn't like, I know a little bit of Run DMC, right? Metal, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I-C and but Gary and Rick had listened to that time, and we go in there, and he was cool, and he introduced us on stage that night, and then, I got a metal band. We're like, what? He's like, yeah, got my own thrash metal band. He's he's like, really? He's like, yeah. And then a year later, that album came out, and it was Body Count, Exodus, DRI, and Propane on one. That's 92, 93. Wow. We went out, and that was Cop Killer controversy.
Yeah, no, that was big fucking news. And that, and that's the thing, I think, with the music that we make, in our subcultures, in our genres, is that we've always, and I think, you've always had people who just didn't fit in, be attracted to the music that we make because it's socially conscious, because we're talking about, everybody being treated equal. Our ideology is what we think that the
But metal and punk has that ideology. We don't care. Like the SOD.
The principles that this country were set upon, I think our music tried to relay. Everybody's created equal. You know what I mean? It's like that basically that principle, I think, for us and what we were saying lyrically is that it didn't matter who you were. If you like what our shit is, it doesn't matter where you come from. We're going to accept you because we're all a bunch of fucking misfit fucking toys anyways, right?
Doesn't matter how you wear your hair. It's what's inside your head.
Well, that's what we used to say.
That's the SOD song. Doesn't matter.
We had a thing. Would you die for your rights or just dye your hair?
Right.
That was our motto in the 80s. You know what I mean? It's like we were out there fucking battling these motherfuckers.
Sure.
I got stabbed,
Sure.
It's just like, I think with us, with the music, it was not only like, it was so ingrained into who I was, or to who I am, I should say, it's what I live, breathe, and ate. It's who I am. It's like
that's why I think your music speaks. You're genuine. It comes from your soul. So your music. That's why it's good, and that's why people follow. It's not because it's something that I heard I want to be punk this, and I'm going to be this. You are. You grew up with it. You lived it. That's what you are. That is your framework. That's what you'll always be. That's why to me, when I meet a guy like you, I see the staple of that. I mean, it would be fun to do a metal album, but you're not metal, Lars. You know what I mean? You're punk.
I could be.
I know you could be.
Well, I just for music for me is I just want to have fun with it, and I want to create.
Agree. That's what music should be.
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's like now that I'm older and my mind is opened even more just by having kids and the musical stuff, some things that I normally wouldn't tend to go to, I go to now, and it's like, a lot of the
I mean, I'll go see Gaga. Would you go see Gaga if she came?
No.
Really? I want to.
I wouldn't. I couldn't
really,
do it. No.
Really?
It's not that stuff.
Do you appreciate it?
I would go see Beyonce before I'd go see
really,
yes,
really. I'd go see Gaga before. Beyonce,
I think Beyonce has something that like. There's something about her voice, and I got exposed through a friend of mine. Well, she's more than a friend, but my point is that that's her jam. That's her AC/DC, right? And when I listen to her sing, it's something resonates in me. You can tell it's real. You can tell it's from the gut. You can tell it's authentic and honest. Lady Gaga, I can't take anything away from her, but it doesn't resonate with me.
Well, this is my thing. I would go see it to look at it. My daughter wanted to go. I wouldn't go buy tickets and grab Vicky and go, yo, let's go. I don't listen to that in my car.
Right.
But I can, like, the other day I took my daughter out for lunch and she was like, she loves metal, but she loves Lady Gaga. You got to hear this. And she sings along with it, and she's a great singer. And after like 5 minutes, I was like, she's great, Madison. I totally appreciate it, but could you put the Thin Lizzy back on? You know what I mean? Kind of a thing.
Well, see, I'm lucky my kids are metalheads and want to go see Creator and Overkill.
Well, she likes the issues of Mice and Men. She likes that type of metal. My boys, obviously, they're thrashers. They're thrash metal. You know what I mean?
Well, if I ever had a daughter and she wanted me to put makeup on, I probably would. You know what I mean?
I don't like that commercial. I know which commercial you're talking about. I'm not playing. I just say all the time, okay, come on, dude. Draw the line with your daughter. She wants to,
Come on, bro. You'd look good.
I don't know.
You'd look
I
good.
Never wore spandex. They used to call them spandexodus, but I never wore spandex. I never wore them. I wore leather chaps one time on stage with no butt.
Oh my god.
But that's a sin. And again, fashion, because for us, I mean, when I first started watching, I went and bought the hat. I went to Polk Street in San Francisco and bought the Rob Halford hat because it was a heavy look.
Yeah.
I want the spikes.
I remember my
and then I found out about the hat, and I was like,
yeah.
No, but it looked so cool. They're like,
listen,
Zetro, don't wear that hat.
I remember one time, it's when Priest, it was right around the Screaming for Vengeance era, and we went to Folsom Street to go buy, because that's where all the leather
That's exactly
stores.
where I got it.
Okay,
at that same time, and 83.
Dude, listen, I remember.
Me and Demel went there. He bought it with me.
I remember walking down that street going, oh my God, everybody looks like Rob Halford here. You know what I mean? And that's when you kind of start making the connection, Rob, listen, I remember.
He's the greatest guy,
he's
too.
one of the raddest dudes ever.
He's the best guy ever.
I remember we were playing, he was when he had his band 2. And Rancid and 2 were playing a festival. And me and Tim loved Priest. Like Point of Entry, that record, I don't know. To me, that's one of their best. That's it's like my favorite Priest record. And I remember we were playing and we're jamming around, and I look over to my right, and on the side of the stage, I see Rob Halford. And I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking Rob Halford, and he's watching us right now. So I'm like jamming. I go up to Tim, and Tim's like doing his vocals, and we're dancing around. I'm like, hey. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, Rob Halford's on the side of the stage watching us. And he goes, looks over. Which one is he? And he had his shirt off. I mean, he has got like some tattoos.
Yes, he does.
But from a distance, it looked like a tie-dye T-shirt. And I'm like, I think he's in that tie-dye T-shirt. And he's like, all right.
Was this an outdoor festival?
Yeah. So we're on the stage, and we're in the middle of a song, and I'm trying to just, So he comes running back over to me. He's like, it's not a tie-dye T-shirt. It's his tattoos. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we get off the stage, and Rob Halford, and we're like, fuck, it's Rob Halford. And he starts talking to us, and he knows about like these, a song of ours, Avenues and Alleyways, is anti-racist, he's anti-fascist. And he's like, he's quoting these lyrics to us. And I'm just like, whoa. He's like, I really love your message about unity and about blacks and whites getting together and so on and stuff. Because he just had come out. And it was like a pretty brave fucking thing for him to do for the times, you know what I mean? And the irony of it all is that experience with him, we had the same experience with Gene Simmons when we met Kiss.
Really?
Gene Simmons quoted that song. I don't know what it is about that. Maybe because of the political, elements to that, and the unity. But like he quoted that song as well to us, and it was kind of a trip when you're having Gene Simmons in his full makeup and he's this tall and he's telling you about one of your songs, and then you got Rob Halford, who I thought was wearing a tie-dye T-shirt, but it was his tattoos, telling you about the same song, that it resonated with them.
Wow.
And that was kind of a cool experience. That's
better than anything any compliment you could ever get, any money you can make, any sold out show you could play. No, to me, that's it. If my heroes come up to me, and I've met almost all of them. I mean, I have Eddie from Iron Maiden tattooed right here. Yeah. If I meet my heroes, it's like, and they know who I am. They're like, oh, hey, Zetro, or like, oh yeah, I love what you did on that album. I'm like, I can die now.
Yeah.
I could care less about anything else. I'm in the fraternity with these guys, because if they're talking about, I'm looped in to this thing.
Yeah.
That's this fraternity, and that will forever be.
Well, that's kind of the trippy part about it, because and I know it's probably was the same for you, but when I started playing music, it wasn't about becoming rich and famous.
No, mine was about having fun.
It was all about having fun, being part of something. And as a result of like touring and it's like apologizing for writing a good song. Like, I'm really sorry we wrote that song that made us popular. No, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a gazillionaire, because then I'll have money for my kids, and then I got to pay for divorces and things.
There's nothing punk about. I don't care that.
No, all that shit was bullshit. You don't
play games. I don't give a shit about that. Although I'll say that you've never gone to a major, and I love the shit out of that. But you stayed true with that.
Yeah, but I mean, that whole idea, it wasn't.
They ruined us. Capitol ruined us.
Fair enough. But fair enough. And that's a lot of the experiences why we never did that.
Good.
And we did actually partner with Warner Brothers, but for Indestructible. But that was Brett Gurewitz.
But you have full control of that.
100%.
Right.
My point, the thing I'm trying to say is that I never set out to do something other than just play in my scene and have a good time. And as a result, there was success. And as a result of the success, there was a lot of lessons to be learned.
Oh,
I missed a lot of deaths. I missed a lot of marriages. I missed a lot of holidays. And I can't say I sacrificed, but I put that before everything. You know what I mean? And
we all do.
Yeah.
I've said that many times, Lars, that we're in a very selfish business. It doesn't care that Christmas is tomorrow. It doesn't care that your wife... My mother died when we were on tour in El Salvador.
Right.
I mean, I get a call from my father at 3 o'clock in the morning at some hotel that has an armed guard in front, because you can't go, I'm going to go walk around and get my head together. You can't even leave. And I'm in this compound hotel, and I'm like... And so people don't understand that... I've missed, how many graduations I've seen on videotape because I was on tour. This is a selfish business that we are in.
It is.
And to do it and to stay focused on it, and I don't mean it like I'm selfish and I want it. This business just commands. I mean,
well, the idea is that for us, I mean, we wanted to take control of it. So if we had the ultimate say on what we were going to do and not have somebody, I mean, Rancid has had like 9 managers.
Yeah, so Exodus too.
It's like every manager, the ones that always had this basic theory of like, this is what you do, this is what you do. We were like, fuck that.
Right.
We haven't done an official interview since 2001.
That's great.
I mean, that's just how we run our shit, But it's kind of like, if you're the masters of your own destiny, then you're in a good place. Like, we own all of our records. We own our catalog. You know what I mean? So we can take it and go do whatever we want with it. And that's why we signed with Brett Gurewitz, you know what I mean? Because he gives us those opportunities. Right. But I think for me, starting off, and making, music, that's all I wanted to do. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. And as I've gotten older, it's like, so when my brother died, my tolerance for other people's opinions and bullshit went, I thought, down to 0. Then I had kids, and then my tolerance actually really went down to 0. Now that I'm in my second divorce and my mom's dying, my tolerance for your fucking opinions and what you think I should do or I should say about whatever it is, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what the fuck I want.
I think that's where you get to that point. I mean,
I'm 48 years old, bro.
I'm 56, and I've been at that point in time where it's like
your opinions don't matter shit to me.
Or you're not taking any new members. You're getting rid of people.
Dude,
now.
I am I'm calling.
No clue.
Listen,
I've been fishing. Dude, and I'm not accepting any new members right now.
I'm taking those colon cleanse pills right now, and I'm just shitting out all of the fucking excess baggage.
Believe me.
It's like, you don't want me? Fuck off.
I'm the same way.
Yeah?
I actually have a good friend here, Dave. He's this guy who's been with me here. He's known me my whole life, and we talk about this all the time. I'm not taking in new members. In fact, I'm getting rid of the ones.
Yeah.
I don't need the bullshit. I don't want your baggage. I don't want your fucking.
I don't give a fuck.
I'm too old and I don't fucking care anymore.
I'm too old for your fucking, millennial psychobabble. I don't care. I don't care.
I'm telling you.
I just, for me, it's like, my life, regardless of what I've gone through, I'm completely and utterly grateful about what I've experienced. But, my life is very simple, and I like to keep it that way. I don't drink, I don't use drugs, I don't smoke cigarettes. I'm not a vegetarian.
Good.
But my point is that like all of the things that would cloud, right now for me personally, and I'm not afraid to say, I'm growing spiritually, and I'm not talking, for me, I've really, over the last maybe 10 years, I've really honed into kind of my pagan roots, and that's kind of what's really valuable to me at this point. Because, and it's coming out in a lot of my songwriting too, like the Motherland song.
That's great.
The Holger Dance song. For me, it's about connecting to like my spiritual belief system. And I don't care if that sounds, how that sounds. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't Buddha, Muhammad.
We don't do religion or politics on the vault. But we don't do that.
I don't. That's not really my trip. My trip is just about like that. It's more of an introspection.
My trip is be good to everyone.
100%.
They'll be good right back to you. I don't care what you are or what you say. As long as you're good to me, I'll be right. I don't care if the whole room hates this person. If this person's nice to me, I'm going to be cool right back to you. I don't care what anybody thinks about that shit. I've never been, when I tell people about, like we're talking about success in music and starting in music, people are saying, Zetro, how do you do it? What do you got to do? I go, you know what? Number one, first, you have fun playing what you're doing. If you have fun and then 10 guys come into your garage and watch you, that is a plus. Then you played, you get to take your band to a club, and you played a club. Even if you opened on the club, that is a plus. If 2 people bought a t-shirt for $10 that night, that is a plus. 100%. You are now ahead of everybody else. And then because you've met people, and I know you have in your life, and I have, that wanted this so bad, and it didn't happen, and they were good, and they were talented, that they hate music now. That it didn't happen to them, so they're like, well, man, I didn't get the success yet. I don't go to concerts no more. I don't even listen to it. It's like, man, there was one time in life I looked at you and I looked up to you, and man, you were such an influence on me as maybe when I was coming up in the ranks, and people I've gone like that past. But don't ever lose. This is fun. This is fun. I do this show for fun, so that the music fans get to see us talk and hang out and talk about what went here. You know what I mean? It's all about fun.
Well, it's funny how we're talking about like Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Exodus, and Rancid.
Right.
Okay. Just think about the genres that we've just covered.
Sure.
It's a different world now. It's not like when I was a kid and when you were a kid. It's like when you got $10 to go to the record store, you had to be fucking committed to your genre.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's $10 to take a chance on this.
Oh, I know, to take a chance.
And that's a waste of my $10.
That was my money for the week, and that's what I had to deal with this.
That was my money for a couple months. Yeah. That was me mowing lawns.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So me to take a chance on this, I wasn't going to go necessarily outside of my circle, right? That's the way I lived my life for a long time. Like if it was punk, if it was oi, if it was skinhead reggae, if it was these things that were in my wheelhouse, if it were Motorhead or AC/DC, like I would spend my money on that. But I would not take a chance on buying the new, let's say, I'm trying to think of a band, I wasn't going to take a chance on
REO Speedwagon.
Perfect. That's a great example.
I know it is. I would neither.
I would never buy a fucking REO.
Sorry,
REO.
Sorry,
I'll sing to you with you on my car if you come on.
Exactly.
But I ain't gonna go out.
Thank you.
I'm not going to the teller with an REO Speed. No, I got
exactly.
You know,
it's going to be Sabbath.
I'm not that sober.
It's going to be exactly. It's going to be, and a lot of the times with the album covers, I bought Killers for Iron Maiden because it was the most, and then the album matched the album cover, and I was like, that was another thing that I went up.
And he drew that for a punk record. You know that, right?
Like Derek Riggs did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that first with Eddie with the long spiky hair.
With the first Iron Maiden.
He drew that for a punk record.
Really? What record?
I don't know, but if you hear interviews about him, he drew that for a punk record. But
really?
Yes.
You learned something.
Well, Paul Di'Anno. I drank with Paul Di'Anno. I had no idea I was drinking with Paul Di'Anno. Okay.
I have a
Paul Di'Anno is.
Can I tell the Paul Di'Anno story?
Paul Di'Anno is also our news weatherman. I don't know if you know that on KCBS.
No,
107.7. His name's Paul, and every time this is Paul Di'Anno, I'm just like, all I can think is Maiden.
No way.
Yeah. So, anyways, Paul Di'Anno, if you're listening, which you're probably not, either one of you, but okay. So, UK Subs played the Marquee in London, and then there was a pub right around the corner. Yeah, everybody. It was called the Queen's Head or something like. I don't remember.
Yeah, we played the Marquee one time. Exodus played one time. Played the Marquee.
Okay, so you know the venue.
Yes.
Okay, so. And it coincidentally was my last show at the UK Subs. And I go to the bar and I'm sitting there and a guy comes and sits next to me and we're drinking and we just start chatting. Just being nice.
What year is this, Lars?
89, 90, somewhere around in there.
So he's ballooned up quite.
He's a pretty he's a pretty big guy.
Gotten bigger.
He's a pretty big guy. Well, he starts talking to me about punk. Yeah, I was into punk and stuff like that and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. But we just having a nice chat. He buys me a Guinness, whatever. He was a very nice guy. We start talking, and I said, yeah, I just played over the market. Oh, yeah, what band? The UK. Oh, yeah, I love the UK. Oh. I said, oh, yeah, yeah, I used to sing for a band. Oh, yeah, I'm still a musician, but I used to sing for a band. What was the band? Oh, it was Iron Maiden.
And then you saw him once you looked at his face.
I'm like, wait, you're Paul Di'Anno? And he goes, yeah, I'm Paul Di'Anno. I go, oh my God. You know what I mean? It's like, because my brother, like Iron Maiden was like, that was his jam.
Me too.
Like I got
my first tattoo that I actually covered this.
I got an Eddie tattoo.
You do?
From my brother. It's a memory for my brother. So because, anyways, and he was the nicest
amazing.
Dude, super nice
amazing.
guy.
So,
but and like you said, in this scene, and we're all sort of kind of connected in this weird way, no matter what kind of music that we
heavy music.
But you know what? Here's the fucking thing. It's like there's the guys who have a lot of humility as a result of being successful, or the trials and tribulations, the divorces, the deaths, the things that make us all.
I've gone through them.
We all have gone through them, right?
Right.
But it doesn't matter. At some point, it's like, we have that angst, we have that that thing, and I'm not saying that goes away. I'm just saying it's like. We can't help but mature along the way, and then you find this kinship, like it's like we're all doing this kind of heavy shit still, and we're all in our 40s and 50s, but it's almost it's not like we mellow out, but we're just a little bit more accepting of each other.
You're right. No, it is. It's this fraternity that we all have together, and we all have this mutual respect from us, even though we're all in different type of genres of stuff. It's all heavy, but we all have
like Ruby Soho is as far opposite from Toxic Waltz as any song could fucking be.
But again, Ruby Soho, it brings, like I was talking, it's that inspiration of punk that drove that is signature Rancid, and to me, I mean, that's what Rancid should have done. I mean, that's the sound.
But my point is that it's their polar opposites. Yet we're sitting in the same room talking about the exact same shit with the exact same interests. Does that make sense? It's like
totally does.
It was only a music. It was the music that sort of separated us and defined us is now bringing us together. And the irony of that, because it's a different world, it's not like we have to. It's like we got a Spotify, Apple, iTunes world now, where a kid can now, like my son will listen to like Juice WRLD, right? Who's a rapper, the poor kid that died at 21 years old, right? It's very talented. I've listened to some of that kid's stuff, and I'm just like, wow.
Too bad, huh?
Next level kid. What he's singing about, his honesty, his passion. you know, and then he likes Creator, and he can go from, fucking Phantom Antichrist to the Juice World song to the fucking whatever song is next, and he likes all of that stuff, and that's the world that we're kind of living in, and that's why I feel like it's easier for all of us to kind of come together now, because it's a different world. Because the same kid who's buying the Exodus Rancid records wants to maybe go see Lady Gaga for Christ's sake.
I know so many other musicians on our level that have, like I was talking to Eric from Peterson from Testament, and he was like, I go see all of them. I'm all, really? So I go see Taylor Swift. I go, really? I go, I don't know. I appreciate them. I don't know if I could go watch Taylor Swift. I don't think I could go watch in concert.
No.
Maybe go see Gaga. And I probably would leave about a half an hour. I couldn't watch the whole concert. I would go for the, I'd have to leave. To where it's like, you could give me a night full of, metal bands or punk bands, and I want to see every band, you know what I mean? It's
the thing that I've been gravitating more towards, and it's probably because of my kids, and they want to go see bands like Exodus and Slayer and Creator and stuff like that, and that's where I'm kind of, and Iron Maiden and shit like that, so, and AC/DC, I'm gravitating towards that kind of stuff these days, and I'll go see the punk shows and stuff. I mean, obviously we're in a pandemic or whatever, but the whole idea for me is like, I'm enjoying the music, and really kind of opening up in a way that I never thought. After I had children, I opened up in a way that I'd never thought I would.
Does that really open your eyes?
It really does.
My first boy was born in 90.
Okay.
So I've been like,
so you've been open for a long time.
My eyes have been open for a long time.
See, mine was 2007.
Right.
So that's when I started kind of going, well, you know what? I'll take a risk on this. I'll go, and that's the thing with music for me is I pay for every single bit. Unless it's given to me as gifted.
Yeah.
I normally try, like I still go to shows. I buy T-shirts.
So do I.
I support the bands. And even if I never wear the T-shirt again, it's like, even when we did the old firm did those shows with Death Angel, I went and bought the Death Angel T-shirt. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's the way I want to, give back. Because I feel like that's being part of. That to me was the experience when I would go to the show. I'm able to come home with a T-shirt. That was the memory.
You went to school the next day and you were all proud of it.
Yeah,
I know.
You know
it's
what I mean?
The experience. I'm the same way. I love to buy the music.
And that's to me because that's what I'm most passionate about. My record. I have 8,000 records.
I know that. I know and you only listen to vinyl. Tell everybody you only listen to vinyl.
That's the way I got it.
In your car, you can't.
No, but
are you digital at all?
I do Pandora, and what I normally do is I'll go like Venom, black metal radio, and then it'll play some thrash stuff, or I'll go GBH radio or Discharge, and I'll do that kind of thing. But because I know Pandora, I won't listen to Spotify. Because
I don't listen to Spotify.
I know, and I don't do Apple iTunes. I don't stream. If Pandora's my only streaming thing, I'll make mixtapes in my phone. I'll do like, it'll go from like Merle Haggard to fucking, to NWA to fucking, Slayer to GBH to Stiff Little Fingers back into, Juice World to, like I'll do that kind of thing. Like, and to Johnny Cash, it's like, I just like.
Now, I do have iTunes, and I'll tell you what, I still like the vinyl. I like the packaging. I still like to buy it. But if I want to hear a song right now, they have everything. And
I understand. I get that.
If I wanted, like I was doing my little walk this morning, like I do every morning, 6:30. And I had a song I wanted to hear, Gamma. I wanted to hear
Gamma. What the fuck, Gamma? I haven't heard about Gamma.
I know, right? Okay, so there you go. I wanted to hear Gamma.
What the fuck? I remember that record cover.
Yeah, Ronnie Montrose.
Yeah.
Fight to the finish.
Sure.
I wanted to hear the song.
Oh my god!
It took me 2 seconds to pull it up, and bang, there it is. So there's a positive to that, but sound quality ain't like listening to a vinyl. No way.
No way. And it's like, so I love Bob Seger.
Okay, good.
I love Bob Seger. I think I don't know. To me, I don't like Bob Dylan. I've seen Bob Dylan. Saw him do. Me and Tim saw him do this MTV Unplugged thing. I saw him do that live. That was an experience. There's a couple songs that I'll like, of course, like "Shelter from the Storm" and
there's a couple. It's not my thing,
but it's not my guy. Right. Bob Seger's more my guy. He's more Americana to me.
Right.
A mustache, short hair,
Yeah.
kind of, chubby.
That whole record, Night Moves, on the cover of it, he looks long hair, beard.
Yeah. I mean, that's more my jam.
Sure,
that's like, I mean, because like you, I grew up with bikers too. That's who ran my neighborhood. And I just, Night Moves, Against the Wind, these songs, they it's like a period of time. It's like, I remember in 1980, Strum and Palms Lane, there wasn't a house that wasn't blasting Van Halen, Running with the Devil, or Dance the Night Away. Right?
That's the truth.
And so it's just like, my real last name's DePello.
Yes, I know that.
Okay, so my mom, Frederickson's my mother's maiden name.
I knew that's why you went there.
Yes,
that.
But we always used to get Running with DePello. So Running with DePello. And that's, so me and my brother always be like, fuck, are you kidding me? But so having like, all these different things come into my life at different times. My first big concert was AC/DC on the Who Made Who tour. Okay,
really?
That's my first big. I never even knew. I was going to
that tour.
I was
at the Shoreline. I remember that.
Okay, well, I would go to punk shows, so it'd be like 200 people if you're lucky. That's
10 bands.
Yeah, and that's how I experienced music forever. I never saw Kiss until I think it was like when Anthrax opened up for them.
Right, yeah.
And 87, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
And that's when the first time I saw Kiss.
Bill Graham Civic.
Yes, and I remember when fucking Anthrax played, the whole place was packed, going crazy. And then when Kiss went on, half the crowd left.
Yeah, because Anthrax was hot at that time.
They were
touring
huge
with them at that time.
They were huge.
We did 2 tours. Well, that was like, right before Headbangers Ball. And all that, we did that. And they were like, we were doing 7,000 a night on that tour. It was Exodus, like, a Halloween. We did one Celtic Frost, Exodus, Anthrax, and then we did another one that was Halloween, Exodus, Anthrax, and they were both. So they were on top of their game at that time.
Right. Well, my brother was always the one that would always, like I said before, would bring home the new music. Like, so the first time I heard Exodus was after he saw you guys at Ruthie's. You know what I mean? Bonded by Blood hadn't come out. I don't think
that would have been Paul. That would have been
Paul. Yeah, because I remember
I was in Legacy at the time.
Right. So it was before that record. He came home talking about it, and him and this guy Mike Johnson, and they had seen Metallica at that point. Testament, I think, or Death Angel was
Death Angel. We were Legacy at that time.
Yeah.
Death Angel, Possessed.
Violence, maybe?
No, Violence wasn't around yet.
Okay.
It was Death Angel, Possessed, Blind Illusion at that time. Law's Rocket at that time.
Right.
There was like maybe 9 of them. The Forbidden, Violence, those were kind of like the second wave of Legacy. Just barely made the first wave.
I saw Slayer around that. It must have been because I went with him
up to Ruthie's once a month.
I can't remember
every other month. Them and Suicidal too.
I think. I saw Suicidal definitely at Ruthie's. I thought I saw Exodus with Broken Bones. Is that
probably did?
At Ruthie's.
I bet you did. That's probably where Rick got the shirt.
Okay, because I think I remember that. And then my brother...
we would play the Mentors. They would put them on all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's rock 'em, sock 'em. Fuck 'em,
Find
feel 'em.
fuck her, forget her.
Yeah, El Duce.
He was the greatest.
He was great.
You dummy duster. Just the way he talked.
Oh, straight up. Drummer, just big fat drummer guy in a hood.
And singing and the 2 chicks coming out.
Oh, God.
Sicky Wife Beater, Dr. Heathen Scum. They were good.
Jesus Christ. But at Slayer, I remember it was with him, and I can't remember I don't think it was at Ruthie's. It could have been somewhere else, but that was the first time I saw Slayer. But I remember that Exodus show. I was standing in the back, and I had a mohawk at the time, and nobody was really tripping.
Not at Exodus. But
it was probably the most violent fucking show I had ever.
I know, because this is the band that wanted me, is the way I looked at it. Because when we started Legacy, a lot of us that were starting thrash bands, Violence, because Phil and I started in our first band together, Demo, and a lot of us wanted to emulate Exodus, not Metallica.
Right.
And I remember... before it was even in the band, like, Zetro, where are you going now? I'm going to go see Exomess. And then you mean Exodus? I'm all, no, Exomess. I go, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to Ruthie's. There's going to be a line wrapped around the fucking San Pablo twice to get in. You're going to go in there, and they're going to have Rick's brother, Lonnie, Toby Rage, Andy Anderson from Attitude Adjustment, all those bands. This guy standing in front, because there's no barricade.
Yeah.
Pushing motherfuckers back because it's so violent. And Bailoff, I mean,
he was a shit stir.
Oh, God. if you're standing next to somebody and they've got blonde peroxide hair, punch him in the face right now. He get the whole crowd going, kill, kill, and the whole crowd's chanting, kill, kill, kill. There would never be a hair metal band or a guy who's into hair metal come to see Exodus just out of curiosity. You won't make it allowed alive.
No, you would hear the stories.
There are any posers out there right now trying to come and think they're going to be cool, come see Exodus. Put him in the pit right now. Let's beat the fuck out of him. Like, God damn glad I'm not a poser. You know what I mean?
Well, he was like thrash metal's leaving.
Oh, he totally.
I mean, just a shit talking, shit stir. He loved watching like the car crash.
He wanted the car crash. Yeah. He was one of those guys that wore shit to be ruthless.
I believe that. Yeah.
We're going to come back with Lars Frederickson here in a minute, and we are going to talk about, we're going to go to wrestling after this, Lars. We haven't talked about wrestling. We've had him in a while. We'll be right back.
This is America's #1 top-rated pee bottle, the all-new P Sport 2.0. We've worked hard to really upgrade this pee bottle compared to the 1.0. This is the old P Sport, the P Sport 1.0. Thousands of people love it, but some people did not like it and posted reviews about it on YouTube. We've listened to those people and we've made the upgrades in the new P Sport 2.0. We've improved the latch. To close it, all you gotta do, pop it like that, and it's closed. For extra security, you can close the latch like this, but it's not necessary. It's just extra. To open, you open it up, easy. So we made the top hole bigger, much more durable, more discreet with the logo, and super high quality for men, for women, for drivers, for truckers, for everybody who pees. A big improvement from P Sport 1.0. P Sport 2.0 is selling out fast. America's top-rated #1 pee bottle on the market. All you got to do is open it up like this, expand it, and let it go, and let it flow.
What do you do when you're in your car, you've been on a long road trip, or you're in traffic, or you just can't pull over to go to the bathroom? Well, you can get yourself a P Sport. This is made for us guys that are in the cars. You don't have to use a fucking Gatorade bottle anymore. All you have to do is get yourself one of these, and it's sanitary. You can put your little willy right in the top, pee in it. It'll hold up to 24 ounces of your piss. So if you're one of those truckers on the road, that has to pull over, or you have to go to the bathroom a lot on the road, nothing better than go get yourself a P Sport. We are back with Mr. Lars Frederickson. We're going to talk a little bit about the UK subs. We're talking about a very a kind of a story.
Well, somebody here,
my buddy Dave, was at Normandy.
It was at Normandy Beach. So, okay, you gotta. Okay,
that's heavy for Americans. Americans, that's a heavy place.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to play this place in France, right? And it's really close to the beach, right? And we're there to play a festival. We had to take a ferry. I had been drinking all night on the ferry, and we had to get out of the ferry about 6 a.m. and go do a sound check at 9. So we finally get to the venue, and it's a big hall. Because I think there was I can't remember who was headlining, but we were kind of like in the middle of the bill. And it was my first time to France, so I have these ideas about what France is and how
it's like 90, 91,
something like that. Yeah. So it's like, and I'm just thinking how about Rome. It's on a Sunday though. Okay, so anyways, we get to the venue. We do this godforsaken too early sound check, and I've had no sleep, and I'm fucking hungover. And so we sit down to have a little food before, and they have the table wine. Right. And so I need some hair of the dog. So I drink it, and it's like mixed with water. So it's like tastes like diluted wine. I can't get enough of this. Right. So I'm like, you know what? After the sound check, I go, I'm going to go out and be romantic with myself. Right. So this is okay. So it's going to get graphic. I apologize.
We want to graphic.
Okay.
Don't apologize.
All right.
You're a punk band. I'm metal.
All right. Fair enough.
We get graphic in the vault.
Fair enough. Okay. So I go out into the little town center, and I find like a place. I grab a bottle of wine out of the backstage. So I got this bottle of wine with me, and I go, it would be great if I had a baguette and whatever. So I find this creamery in this bread place, and I get a baguette, and I get this cheese. I'm like,
wow, you're really doing it up.
France
you're
right now.
So France. You needed a beret, and you're good to go.
And we're right on the beach, right? So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. So I fucking go out, and there was like a rope, there was like a little thing, like a little like kind of archway, and there's a rope around the beach, and I just fucking lift my fin. Nobody's out on the beach, but everybody's in the town center. So I go out and I'm just like, oh, this is beautiful. And so I'm eating the cheese, I'm eating the bread, and fucking I don't have any swim trunks, so I just get down to my boxer shorts. I'm just laying on the beach, and I'm just like drinking the wine, and I'm eating the cheese, and I pass out. I don't know how long later, but I got 4 fucking French policemen kicking me, waking me up.
Oh my!
Blah 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 blah. Just going. I'm like, look, I'm American. I'm American.
That was the best thing to tell them.
Did you disrespecting our day? Blah, blah, blah. It turns out it's like this. I think it's like some weird. I don't know, some French holiday, maybe. Whatever. Nobody's allowed on the beach, but I'm out there in my fucking underwear, right? So I get out of that mess. I say, I'm American. Where's your passport? They ask me. And I said, it's in the van. So like they follow me. And now there's a whole crowd of people watching these 4 policemen escort me off the beach in my boxer shorts with my clothes in my hand, trying to grab the wine. They're yelling at me to pick up the bread, not to let, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So this guy speaks for, anyways. So this is where it gets first. But this is my first day in France. So we go play the show. I remember Brian Barnes, the bass player at the Subs at the time, during the sound check, puked everywhere because we were up all night drinking on the stage. So that was strike, 1, right? Because Charlie, he's older and he's just looking at us just like, you dumb fucking cunts, young whippersnappers. What the fuck? It's a big show for us.
Right.
So we got hotel rooms, and it's the first time that, we actually have hotel rooms in a while. So I go to one of the hotel rooms, I crash out, whatever. I go play the show out in the middle of the parking lot. I meet these like French kids, punk rockers, and we started drinking. This one kid says, hey, do you want to do some heroin? Fuck yeah, I'll do some heroin.
Really?
Yeah. So, snorted.
Was that a punk attitude, huh? Yeah. Lars, damn. Yeah.
So I snorted this heroin, and my kids don't do this. So I go back up into my room because now I'm just fucking loaded. I'm nodding out and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, oh my God.
Had you ever done it before?
Oh yeah. A few times.
You had?
Yeah, a few times.
That's one I never touched.
Well, I was just a thrill seeker. So this is where it gets graphic. And I apologize.
No, I'm done accepting your apology. Get graphic.
I get horny. And I see this thing I've never seen before, but it's a bidet. Right?
A bidet.
A bidet. So I'm like, you know what? Let me see here. So I fucking just strip down. Turn the water on, it's rushing on my balls, and I'm just stroking away, right? I'm thinking, this is going to be the best thing ever. I nod out in the middle of this, right? And I remember having these dreams about like I was on fire. Oh, dude, why am I so hot? Whatever. And I come out of it. And I just turned on the hot water on the bidet. My balls were swollen.
Oh my God.
And are red as fuck.
So the water was continuously, it never...
I nodded out.
Oh my.
So now my balls are the size of grapefruits because boiling hot water.
Water's been fucking, your sack
I'm like,
scalded.
I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I put my boxer shorts on and I crawl into bed and I just try to pass out. About 11 a.m. in the morning, someone's pounding on my door. We got to go. We're going to miss our ferry. We're going to miss our ferry. And I'm like, fuck. And I try to move. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't move because my balls. There had been blisters that had popped in the middle of the night. And now my boxer shorts are basically duct taped to my balls because they had bled through. They stuck. So now I'm like, oh my God. And I'm getting yelled at by Brian that we got to fucking go. And I can't go like this. And I'm like, and I'm trying to take my boxer shorts off to change my pair of boxer shorts. And I can't get them off.
Because they're stuck.
They're stuck to my balls.
You're stuck to your balls that are killing you.
That are killing me right now. So I'm like, oh my God. So I got to get in the shower because I think, oh, water will loosen this up, right? I'm in there for like 20 minutes trying to get, and I finally just fucking rip off the fucking things because I can't do it anymore.
And scream?
Oh, it was gnarly, bro. It was fucking the gnarliest thing. So I'm just like quiet and on the whole ride, and it's bumpy, and it's just like, oh, my balls are killing me. And then I get pulled out at customs and put in a room, and just in this lady, this Jamaican lady, wearing this rubber glove, going, I'm gonna violate you, and blah blah. Just giving me a hard time. And anyways, that was my last tour with the subs in my last show with the subs. But that's my first time at France story, and thank you for reminding me about that story.
Wow, mine wasn't as eventful as adventurous as that.
But my balls are
healed.
They're healed.
We're glad to
Other
know
than the
that
vasectomy scars.
See, now this is now the things, and now if anybody,
You wanted to get real with me, Zetro.
no, I'm cool with that, and I love that. That's what I'm saying.
I might get my
we were
tubes
talking
tied.
about people like saying.
Reattach
the
yourself.
sellout because of Ruby Soho. You paid some dues. That I don't want to hear that. Between the beach, then the hotel room, then the balls, then the ride, then the Jamaican.
Oh,
Ruby should have won 10 platinum, diamond platinum, man.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, come on. People think you just got handed it. Hardly your ass.
No.
You put some.
I put some work. I put my balls into it.
You put your balls in. All right, we're gonna switch gears
Okay.
because I found out, and I know you are, and I am too, and this is a great thing, is we are wrestling fans.
Nerds.
And I know you are, because I go back to Hank Renner and 1970s, Big Time Wrestling.
Big Time Wrestling.
Big Time Wrestling, which was here. That's
Yeah.
why, if everybody knows, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, was born in Hayward, California, because his father, Rocky Johnson.
Well, all the Samoans were from the Mission.
Yeah, and his grandfather, Peter Maivia, they were all grew up in the Bay Area, or they were in the Bay Area, and transplanted. And that was a time for me when it was really that's when Pat Patterson wrestled Rocky Johnson.
Fuck yeah.
And Pepper Gomez.
Pepper
and,
Gomez.
And, Pepper Martin, and the Masked Interns, Gerhard Kaiser, and the Von Steigers.
Fucking Christ.
It's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm a wrestling nerd. My children are now. Nick Souza, my son, that plays drums in Hatred. He has all the channels. He tells, because I'm not as into it. I dip in and dip out. I know what's going on in the WWE. I love the wrestlers. They're Roman Reigns and Von Strowman. They're great wrestlers. They've really patched out. I have to say, though, I love Jericho's wrestling.
I love Jericho.
I love Jericho, but
He was the total package.
He still is. And you know how people revere
No
Ric
offense,
Flair?
Lex Luger.
No, I don't. And how people really revere Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I believe Jericho will be that in time.
I think he already is.
But I mean, when he gets to that age and he's no longer performing
but
anymore.
I think that Jericho, his psychology, just his skill, the fact that he's been able to do it for as long.
And quality too,
Yes.
Lars. Quality. He wrestles.
Yeah.
His matches are not powder coat matches that that's scripted. They're really good. He wrestled, I think I saw a match, because he goes to Japan. He'll wrestle New Japan.
Yeah.
And I seen that match New Year's Eve that he wrestled. Oh man.
No, he's phenomenal.
50 minutes, him going off, and every week he does it on top of.
Well, that's what made Ric Flair so famous, is because he would do that hour-long Broadway.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So many nights out of the week.
Yeah.
And he, everybody said he could wrestle a broomstick and make the broomstick look good.
Yeah, that's what they all said. That, of course, you must have watched the show on, what was it, E60 or the Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I cried when I was watching.
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean, Flair was an anomaly, and it's like he was always. Everybody really loved Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan was bigger and larger than life, and I get it. You know what I mean? But, I mean, did any of his matches last more than 5 minutes?
No, but Flair could talk. I mean, Hogan could talk, but the way Flair talked
he was.
I mean, I used to watch that. I remember Gordon Soley on TVS, and at Saturday it was at 3:05.
Yeah, 3:05. Yeah.
3:05 to 5:05.
Yep. World Championship Wrestling.
World Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
And that's where you seen like Ivan Koloff and Buzz Sawyer, and and I was a geek, and I've been always into wrestling from that point. I know you're good friends with CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I liked him when he was in WWE.
Well, I mean, he was, unfortunately, I think for him, like he was some of these guys have so much freaking talent. And if they were just let off the leash a little bit, they'll show what they can do. He was one of those guys. There was a psychology and an aura about him that nobody could ever really touch, and nobody had seen in such a long time. And that wave of wrestling, when he was the man, it was as big as, those Monday Night Wars. Those ratings were just as big. And I think that there's, every once in a great while, you're going to get a guy like that. But if you misuse him in today's world, he's going to say, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said fuck you to that faction because of that, even though that faction is very... prestigious faction.
Yeah, to me, I can't.
But I don't watch it as much as I used to.
Neither do
that
I.
One, I like Impact. I do. Do you watch Impact? I watch
do.
Impact.
Yeah.
I do like the littler ones. I don't know. Do you go to big time wrestling here in Fremont?
I do. Any indie shows, I'm
like
normally
the indie shows.
from.
Yeah, I like those as well. You can see the older guys there and stuff, and they'll.
Yeah, but to me, that's it's kind of like college sports. These guys are actually really, they're well thought. They're showing their skills, and when you get to the WWE, it's like it's almost as if they take away your license to be creative, and they kind of give you a structure into which.
Oh, they tell you your name, what your name is going to be,
and sometimes it's like part of the reason why these indie guys get so big is because they've thought of something really, really good to propel them.
Right.
To get to this place, and then all of a sudden you get to the Mecca, and then they want to strip you of what made you what you were.
Plus, they usually don't get to cash in on that brand themselves, nor a lot of the time the name gets signed off to him.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I think that's you'll go and you'll see the T-shirts in there, and you're paid a salary, and that's how it works.
Yeah, you get a percentage.
You get a percentage. You're not getting any of this.
No,
it's whatever he does, even though your face is all over.
But you do get the exposure.
That's true.
And that's the trade. It's true.
But although it's a really small window in that business now, because that's what I wanted to be, Lars. I rock and roll, but if you were going to ask me at 8, 9 years old, I'm going to be, a wrestler. And then as I got into I was probably about 18 or 19, 82, 83 when I started, when they gave us TBS out here, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, why is everything 5 minutes after the hour?
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's where I was really, because they took, around 1980, Hank Renner and Big Time Wrestling kind of...
Yeah, because Vince came in. Yeah, well, they stopped, all the promotions.
There was AWA for a little while. It was Nick Bockwinkel.
Yep.
And Hogan came from AWA.
Jerry Blackwell.
What's his name? Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, Greg Gagne. All those guys wrestled here.
Yeah.
And that was the only wrestling we had on this side. Playboy Buddy Rose. They were here on this side.
Yeah, because everybody had their answer for their Ric Flair.
Yeah,
so Playboy
exactly.
Was,
yeah, he was the.
But he was a talented guy.
He was.
So
he was.
And we had Greg the Hammer.
Yeah, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Yeah, exactly.
Wrestle around here. So, but Pat Patterson and Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah, they were Peter Mavia.
Oh yeah,
all that. They had the Pat Patterson Cadillac in Oakland. Remember on East 14.
Yeah.
So they were mainstays in here, but that kind of waned on the begin as the 79 to 80.
Well, Vince came in and started buying up all the promotions.
Sure he did.
And buying all the territories. And I think it was kind of hard for a lot of these guys not to cash in, or not only, but just be muscled out. And I think that when Vince McMahon came in and sort of started, doing his thing to the wrestling business, I think a lot of people didn't have a choice. There was some holdouts, obviously. You had down south or whatever, Turner,
right? Because they did hold out down there. Florida Championship Wrestling, they kept their end, and they still kept it going. But
to me, I always loved. I loved more of the Southern style of the wrestling, like the WWF at the time.
You mean like Freebirds?
Oh, fucking love the Freebirds.
I love Freebirds.
I mean, those guys could talk. Those guys could
everything. They were the greatest.
I don't know if PS could fucking wrestle so much as Terry Gordy.
He did.
But he could talk. That motherfucker could talk.
He could talk.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty could talk.
Son of a plumber.
He had an elbow.
Oh, fuck yeah. The bionic elbow.
The elbow, and that was it.
But my team was like the Rock and Roll Express. I loved them.
Yeah, they still wrestle.
I know. I just went and saw them.
Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton.
Yeah, they've just wrestled over in.
He still tries to pump his hair when he's got left.
But I'll tell you what. He's a fucking rad dude. I got a chance to actually talk to him.
Really?
Yeah, and he took me in the back and we started talking a little bit. And he's on the Instagram and we chat every once in a while. And he's a rad fucking guy. He's just a salt of the earth kind of dude.
Is he really?
Yeah, I mean
because I remember Midnight Express. They were the fight of the Express.
Oh, dude!
It was Sweet Stan and Beautiful Bobby.
Yep.
And Jim Cornette
Jim Cornette is another guy.
He's the greatest.
I got a chance to hang out with Jim Cornette. He's the nicest fucking guy.
Yeah, he's real.
To me, the managers, the mouths, were always more. Appealing. The superhero kind of guy, wasn't really my trip.
Not me neither.
That's why I like
the buffoons.
Yeah.
I like Kamala. I like in Friday. You know what I mean? And then anybody Slick did, you know what I mean?
Undertaker was my guy for years.
Me too, only because I'm horror guy.
Yeah.
And he's in Paul Bearer.
Fuck yeah.
Percival Pringle.
Oh yeah,
Percy Pringle.
Percy
He was
Pringle.
Percy Pringle.
Yeah. I used to get all the magazines.
Me too.
I loved all that
Inside
shit.
Wrestling.
Oh fuck yeah,
Pro
the
Wrestling
Illustrated. Yep.
Bill Apter. Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Bill Apter.
Hell yeah, I know all that shit. I love it to death.
Well, the Four Horsemen, that crew,
the original Four Horsemen.
Oh yeah, so it's Ole and Arn, Tully Blanchard, and
Tully Blanchard, and Tully's daughter's wrestling now.
Yeah, that's right.
She's really good too.
Does she do the slingshot? Is that her finisher?
I think that's her. The slingshot. They had her on. They were trying to do Glow for a minute,
right?
And then it got cut off. And I know.
Did you watch that series on Netflix?
I did.
I loved it.
It's great.
I enjoyed
Mark
it.
Maron did a good job on that.
Yeah.
I did, and I liked it because I was watching it on Saturday mornings at those times.
Yeah.
I was waking up with a fucking hangover from the gig at 9 o'clock in the morning, like on Channel 44.
Yep.
They showed Glow.
Yep.
Glory. Did you know that they couldn't hang out with each other? Did you ever watch The Real Story of Glow?
Yep.
The bad, the heels, and they could never, mix after.
Well, that was the thing. Even that's why Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik almost blew the cover because they got busted going over to Canada with weed, driving together, and they were in a fucking rivalry at the time.
They wanted that. They wanted that to say. They
America versus Iran, and they're in a car together smoking weed, and they get busted.
They were good till about late 80s, 90. Then people started to figure out, hey, this stuff's not.
But you know what? It was that
real to me.
Yeah, yes.
The pandemonium.
It's
when Scott Steiner turns and joins the NWA at Super Brawl. I was there. Turns on his brother and comes up and goes to
Are you talking about Super Brawl? Oakland Brawl?
I was there.
Oakland Coliseum?
Cow Palace is where it was. Super Brawl.
Oh, Super Brawl.
That's when he joined the NWA.
That's right.
They did
NWO.
NWO. That's what NWO.
Okay, I was at a WCW show, but it was Flair Hogan was the main event. And that was at Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah, they did a pay-per-view from the Cow Palace.
I remember that.
Super Brawl, and that was WCW.
Because I saw my first NWA, I saw the Great American Bash on tour, I think it was 85 or 86, and the main event was the Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes versus was it the Russians and
Nikita Koloff, Ivan Koloff, and Boris Zukov.
I think that was the main event. I could be wrong.
That was the main event because that was it. And Nikita's a total America guy.
I know.
He used to go, Nikita, and then because I know you watch Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh fuck yeah, I did.
Is that the best show on television?
Well, my friend, he does this. He did it doesn't matter. I've lost my train of thought. But to go back to the Russians, Nikita Koloff was as American as me and you.
I know. It's unbelievable.
It's
but he
unbelievable.
played
Even Ivan.
But the whole thing about the,
Baron von Raschke.
Baron von Raschke. I was just going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth. Baron von Raschke was the same way. With the
because wrestling is so funny because it's like when Sergeant Slaughter.
He was my first WWE show was in 1982. It had never come out here before. San Jose little civic area. They have the little civic.
Yeah, San Jose
auditorium.
Civic. Yeah,
it was Slaughter versus Tito Santana was the headlining act on that. Wow. And me and my boy Stevie, who I ride Harleys with all the time, we love Sergeant Slaughter. And because San Jose is very Latino, all the Mexican guys were there to see Tito Santana, and we were like, "Boo!" And we had this Mexican guy get in our face, wanted to fight us because we were like, "Kick us out, get him!" He's like, I'll kick your ass ring. Go Slaughter. Cobra Clutch. We're screaming Cobra Clutch at this Mexican guy. So then Slaughter loses the match. Of course, Tito Santana's going to win. And this guy gets over and he's pointing him out like, I got you. And that was the first time
that's why you got to love wrestling,
That's what I was saying. It's the pandemonium. And then those guys go backstage and they're like, what's up, brother?
Yeah. I remember one of my first WWF things was at the Cow Palace, and it was Cowboy Bob Orton and Roddy Piper.
But he didn't show up, did he?
No, Piper and Orton were there, but it was supposed to be Snuka and Tonga Kid. And I think this is when, in retrospect, I didn't know at the time, but Snuka was having those legal problems.
Right.
And he had to be,
I remember
let go. So, but I remember seeing it was a Tonga Kid. So it became Tonga versus Piper. And then I think there was like some sort of melee happened where
and Ace just stayed in the ring.
Oh no, he was.
Remember he called him Ace.
But he had the cast. And
on the WrestleMania, remember they did that at the Cow Palace.
Yes.
Or no, they did it in New York at
Madison
Square Garden. It was a pay-per-view. And then they took that on the road.
Right.
And they brought it to San Francisco.
That's the thing about...
Piper didn't go. You know who wrestled in his place? Alexei Smirnoff, because he lives here. For some reason, when I got to the door to see it, Mr. T and Hogan wrestled Alexei Smirnoff, and this was only in the Oakland show. When I got to the thing, I already had my tickets. Was a big white sign that says Roddy Piper will not be appearing tonight.
Oh, wow.
So I'm... What? I love Piper's Pit was my show.
That was the show.
I loved it. I mean, what do you mean Piper's not going? I already got my tickets, so I went in and watched the event. It was at the Coliseum.
The whole coconut thing.
Oh, it was great.
Jesus
That was awesome.
Christ,
that was the with Snuka. That was just.
I mean,
all the things he did when he had Hillbilly Jim on. Mr. Popper, and he's just roasting him. It's just all those old shit. I can bring that stuff on YouTube and just go crazy. And that's when I think wrestlers. That's when they were. Now they're all. I grew up in a time when they were all fat and out of shape, and their characters and their costumes is what made them go on.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly. Well, but
everything evolves, obviously.
It does, and I think as wrestling evolved, and one of my big beefs is the storylines don't last as long. They'll capture something really fucking good and then burn it out in 3 weeks.
Yeah, they used to last 6 months. Storylines used to last.
And
6 months.
that 6 months would mean something would happen, and then you had another 6 months
before you got a closure on it. I remember, God, and Pat Patterson used to have this battle with this guy, the Great Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
He used to tap his boot, and if he kicked you with the boot, you're out, and that's it. And I remember they had like a 3 falls match on this week on Big Time, and back in those days. They only wrestled jobs. They didn't wrestle the main guy didn't wrestle him. They wrestled some guy that you go, oh my God, he gonna have his way with you.
One of the Mulkey brothers,
exactly, or Bob Scott. Bob Scott used to get beat up by everybody on WCW. Remember Bob Scott?
Of course I do.
As and this one, Scott
or Rocky King.
Oh yeah, Rocky King. God, and you have a couple of good moves, and he would just get the shit beat out.
And it's like the Mulkeys. I remember.
Yeah, the Mulkeys. Yeah, they used to go that way.
Yeah, the jobbers.
Are the kids your kids wrestling?
They got into it for a little bit. And they liked certain guys, and I was trying to think, because as we were talking, I was trying to think who they sort of gravitated to, and I believe like Wolfgang and Soren, they always liked the kind of more horror guys, and I think what's his name? What's his fucking name? Its name's escaping me, but they into the Taker, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was my boy when he first came in because I'm a horror. I loved that whole. The dead man thing, and he was Bray Wyatt. Oh, Bray Wyatt.
When he was doing, because he does those really cool, kind of scary gimmicks.
He does,
and he does them really well.
Yeah.
I remember when he was doing that kind of like New Orleans kind of like voodoo kind of thing, and
Papa
the music,
Shango type thing.
Yeah, the music, the whole the atmosphere that he set was really wonderful.
Yeah, I like that. I
think that's Mike Rotundo's kid, isn't it?
Is it? They're all got kids in it. That was another thing I was just going to bring up with you. Notice how many second and third generations like in AEW.
Well, who's going to be better though than your kids?
You got Cody Rhodes and you got Dustin in AEW. I mean, all their kids.
And
are
that promotion's phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
That's the one I go to now.
You know why? Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone.
100%.
Tony Schiavone. When I hear Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, I know I'm watching wrestling.
Yeah, and Jim Ross is. I'm sorry, but it's like that's the one thing that I always had a problem with. Like Vince, I think tried to retire him. It's like he tried to retire Macho Man.
Yeah.
Or fucking Jesse Ventura. Remember?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was great.
These guys are,
talking is everything in wrestling.
My favorite tandem was Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah, because he would go. They would go back and forth. Sure, they were great.
And or Bobby Heenan and Tony Schiavone was great. Yeah,
Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon because they didn't get it the way they did because Monsoon would always because Bobby was a heel,
right,
and he would always let him know because you like him because you're a heel, and Monsoon was always, and that's what I liked about Ventura when he was with McMahon. He was like, "Oh, McMahon, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't get in the ring." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about. The body. I've always liked that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think that when you have a good contrast with your call guys, and I think Schiavone and Jim Ross, they complement each other very, very well. You know what I mean?
Tony
And
Schiavone is.
Jim Ross is like, what I love about him is his facts.
Yeah.
And how, like when he would used to call those WCW matches and before in the Mid-South, like he would have facts about where he played football or whatever it was.
Right.
And I think that adding that extra, and think about this. The Hell in the Cell match between Mick Foley and Taker.
That's just...
Nobody else could have called that match and made it as dramatic as Jim Ross did.
But how dramatic was the match as itself?
I mean, that was a phenomenal...
I don't even think they could let them do that again,
no,
honestly.
I don't think so.
Did you see his nose? His tooth was in his nose.
I know. And
his tooth, it's in his goddamn nose. You can see it.
I know.
It's unbelievable. I know.
Insane. But
that match alone, from the top onto the taxel, and they're not even done yet? I mean, I can't even jump off that table onto the ground without going, oh, fuck, I just fucked my knee up. You know what I mean? It's like...
Dude, bending over to clean the carpet sucks.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Think about that.
It sucks.
Those guys get like, again, talking about Jericho, the guy's been...
Well, look at Terry Funk.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has got no fucking cartilage in his knees, and he's still
out there. He'll still go out there.
Fucking maniac.
That's because that is what he is.
Well, but that's the thing. It's kind of like us. And it's like Lemmy. Like he was gonna go to the end.
We were with him. We did the motorboat 3 months before he went. So, and which is actually, we were on the boat, and I remember they played. We went and saw him, and I have to say this. I really didn't want to watch that version of Motorhead because he was so sick and bad, and he couldn't carry the, like he tried to. Metropolis was Metropolis.
Yeah.
It was like Metropolis. The world's getting. There was no Lemmy in it.
Yeah.
He was just a figure, but I knew, and he had. It was Christmas Day. He passed. This was September 29th to October 2nd of that year. We did the motor, and he wasn't around any other time, but other than the 2 sets that he played, and then he did a short meet and greet. But you couldn't get a solo one with him, meaning that he took groups of 8, and then they brought him back to his cabin and stuff like that. So he got rid. But I am under that. That's how I want to go. I want to die on stage. I'm not ever going to come up. So you know what? I'm cool now. I mean, I know Slayer's just retired and stuff, and I don't think Carrie's necessarily retired, but Tom's retired and wants to retire, and I don't see myself doing that.
No,
Lars.
I can't.
I want to play music. I'm 56, and I see myself doing it till I'm 86 if I can do it.
That's the thing, and I think to each their own. And Slayer is obviously going to be missed because Slayer filled a gap.
Oh man, big time.
They became something. They
weren't like that 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. No. I toured with them, and when I just got back into Exodus and we had put out Blood In, Blood Out, Gary had to do double duty, which means Exodus. We did Exodus, Suicidal, Slayer, so then at least he had a band in between to break.
I've done that.
And,
that sucks.
I know, nobody likes double duty.
But I didn't get a break.
Yeah. Oh, really? You won right?
When Bastards and Dropkicks went out, the Dropkicks guitar player broke his arm 13 shows into the tour, so I played my set with the Bastards, which was 45, and then I had 20 or 30 minutes in between playing with the Dropkicks and filled in for them for their hour and a half set, and I did that for over a month.
Yeah, it's hard.
It was gnarly, but I was also getting divorced from my first wife, so it was a good distraction.
But it's a good distraction. But still, when you're done with your set, you it's like you set yourself up your body clock, looking down. I got 6 songs, or I got 16, or I got 20.
Correct,
and that's how you look at it.
100%.
When I'm done with those 6 songs, and I get in the dressing room or wherever I'm standing, I'm that, and I'm there. I'm so not looking. Don't tell me I got to go back.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Or you're not going to get the same guy you just had.
That's the thing, and you're
not going to get. No. I'm going to come out and I'm going to give it my. But man, I'm not. There's nothing new about. Here he is again.
Well, my focus when
you've already seen me.
Yeah, but my focus is like if I'm going up there to do something, I want to burn that fucking stage down because I might not get another opportunity to get back up there again. So when I got to come off and cool down, and we were doing this with the Dropkicks on the one tour we did, is where sometimes we'd headline and then we'd do an encore where all of us got together. But if we were like playing before the Dropkicks the night and then had to wait the hour and a half or an hour and then get back up there, it's just like you have to kind of recool or re-up yourself. It's like it's not just like, oh, I can just get up and go and do it. It's like there's an emotional thing I've found with myself too.
Sure.
It's just, getting that energy to get back up to go out and do that thing, and not saying that it's a hard job or anything like that. It's just a psychological.
It's mental. It's mental. It's very mental.
And that's where you have to be, that you acquire the toughness over years. But at this point, when I'm 48 years old, and I'm not saying that's old in any way, shape, or form, but to cool down and then try to ramp back up is a little bit more difficult.
I'm not into doing 2 sets anymore. There was a time when Exodus went out, when we were like Pleasures of the Flesh era, when we would do an all ages set and then take an hour, and they would kick everybody out, and then they would let a bar crowd, only 21 and over, and we would do 2 sets a night. And the second set never was the same as the first. I never was like, wow, I roared better on the second one. Second one was always, oh fuck, we got to go out and do it again.
Yeah, but I mean, and you're already put it all out there. You know what I mean? You're feeling it. It's like, I feel like when we played songs, especially with Rancid, because we've been around 28 years. And there's a very, I don't know how many records, 10 now or 9, I don't know.
With 20 songs a record, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's how punk albums are, right?
Well, that's how our punk albums are. But
Ramones records were like that.
No,
too. I mean,
they weren't.
Well, maybe not 20, but they were a lot.
There was a lot, but not. We put out. Anyways, my point is that, like, you're kind of. When you're doing a song off the very first record in '93, all of a sudden you're flashed back to the fucking rat-infested apartment that you lived in upstairs, trying to fucking, find where's the fucking cat and why isn't he? It's like you're going through an emotional sort of thing as well as the energetic thing, and then you're exchanging that with the audience. Because it takes the audience for the band, really, honestly. Sure. And it's the band is mostly the audience. Let's just be honest. The energetic exchange. So and
in our type of music,
yes. And what I've found over the years, it's like, I've learned not to accept like the negative or the positive feedback. Like I got to meet them equally, and which means that like I can't, when it's negative feedback, I can't go, oh fuck, the person hate. I don't give a shit about that. And it's the same with the positive. It's just like whatever.
I'm the same way. I tried it. That's good that you say that, because when I first put Hatred together, and again, 2 of the members are my children.
Right.
And this is the first time out. There was like, 95%. Da, 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 da. And then there's the other 5%. And they were getting pissed. And I'm like, no. You can't read the good.
Yeah.
And then read the bad. Don't read any of it.
If nobody
don't pay attention to it.
If nobody hates you, then you're not doing something right.
I'm telling you.
Then you're doing something. There's something that you're not doing right.
Right. If somebody,
everybody's got to have haters.
You got to have it. It's just the way it is.
And 99.9% of the time, somebody who's talking shit either never has done what you've ever done in your life.
That's my point. And I say that. I'm like, okay, well, you can sit behind a computer or talk shit, but I mean, I've been in like 4 bands, all that have fucking records out. I've written music for legendary. I play in a legendary heavy metal. My old thrash band's a legendary heavy metal band. People that I know in the business, from other musicians or managers and actors and people like that. I don't know. I think if I have to look back in the mirror, I'm pretty happy with how it went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I regardless of what you think, I think I did okay. You know?
And I think when you have kids and you start families and you do these things, and that changes your whole value system. I think for me, like I never was ever sought out the attention other than the negative attention. But it always created negative responses or negative atmospheres for me. It's when I kind of just started to let all that shit go. And then when I started, making a family with kids and stuff like that, even though that went sour, it's like I can't look at it as like a failure.
I got divorced after 18 years. It was not a failure.
So no, I'm 0 for 2 right now.
But regardless,
no, to me they're both successful.
This is the way I look at it. Because you were mature enough to find that they didn't work for you, that's a success in itself. Because I know, like our parents' generation, at least my parents' generation, anyway. There's a lot of them that hated each other in the last 20 to 30 years. And they should have went and made themselves happy. Our generation is more up to look. This isn't marriage isn't working for me, even though we do have children together. Whatever we were as kids when we got together or our deals together are not that anymore.
Yeah.
And we've grown apart, and that happens with people. And you've had friends, like we were talking about earlier, people that are
Yeah.
We're not taking new members on. We're actually getting them. Some you used to tolerate, you won't tolerate anymore. How come? You got to look at it like, is your wife is she excluded from that, or is that person?
Well, for me,
I won't say wife. I'll say significant other, girlfriend, fiance. Is that person not apt to that thinking or that mentality? Yes, they are. You can lose your friends and your girls just as like.
Yeah, but I think for me, like I was always able to get more intimate with my male friends, like let them really truly in. I don't mean intimate like.
We understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than I was with women, and I think that's something that I've come to find, just because like a little over a year ago now, like my world that I knew with the family, the wife and the 2 kids was pulled out from underneath.
Sure.
Me. And it's like my world was so linear at the time, but there was a freedom in it. My point is that, my part in all of these not quote unquote failed relationships, I'll use that term for lack of a better one, but was my lack of being able to get truly intimate with somebody, another human being. What I'm coming to find is that like I'm capable of that. But I think because of my upbringing and the survival mechanisms that I had to put into use to just survive out on the street.
Sure, and from the beginning,
right? They don't serve me anymore. So making the connections like, oh, this is not really serving me in this now new relationship. So now I have to discard this and shed this, and that's where I'm at in my life right now. Yeah. So I'm like right now I feel I'm the happiest I've ever been and the saddest I've ever been at the same time. I've lost a lot in my life, but I've also had a lot in my life. But the fact that I can hold both emotions at the same time, and I'm sorry to get fucking like this.
No, that's cool because this is the type of stuff that I'm not going to get in an interview from a magazine or anywhere else. And I want to know, and the viewers that watch the show are truly into the artist that is. So I want to hear you.
Okay, well, I haven't been able to hold both of those emotions at the same time and meet them equally. Like I'm okay with my sadness as much as I am with my happiness, and I know that they're both fleeting.
There has to be a balance there,
Well, the balance is for me has always been, what I've come to find is I used to think it was like a balance of life. In my life, the way I was going to find balance is the right amount of career, right amount of family, the right amount of money, the right amount of this, right. And it's like, no, it's like when I was trying to wrangle all that together, all I found was chaos. Uh-huh. When I started kind of looking internally and getting more spiritual and finding more of that deeper connection that I have, for me, it's more of the pagan thing, right? When I started kind of going there, I realized that if I was going for that, then life became in balance. So when I was looking for the right things to make the right combination, that's where I was going wrong for me. When I was looking for the one thing, like how do I get more spiritually balanced? How do I find my own spiritual connection? That's when I started seeing, my life's in balance. I can cradle this happiness and this love or this sadness at the same time and meet them both equally. Like my lows were always very fucking low. That's why I always went to downers like booze,
really,
and shit like that. I never went to speed and cocaine and stuff like that.
That was our thing.
See that
was our thing.
I wanted to be obliterated, but I didn't because speed. I ended up just jerking off way too much and staying up all night. That's what you know what I mean? It's like
sex on speed.
I get it. Yeah, I experienced that, but at some point it's just like
those days, boy.
I get it. But and
4 or 5 hours, like I felt like
you feel like you're
vitality. I call a porn company. Here I come.
I'm harder than a rock.
God, you kidding me? I can bust through a front door right now.
But I got a girlfriend now who's 10 years younger than me, right? And she also is like a different generation than I am. And I'm really finding like this true intimacy in this relationship I'm having with her. And I'm allowing like love. Uh-huh. It's not just about my kids. You love your kids in a way that you can't love your wife or you can't love your brother or you can't love your mother.
True.
It's a whole different kind of love.
Of course.
And you're never ever going to get that with another human being.
No, even if you lose the person that you had those kids with, that bond with those children it's right there. Even though that person was a part of the party for a minute.
Yes.
They're no longer in, because I'm divorced now 10 years.
Right.
12 years now.
Wow.
Oh my.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We actually get along now.
That's great.
It only took about 11 years.
Yeah.
But it was, again, my kids are still
me.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though you're not me anymore.
No, it took
someone else is me. These are still so much this mentality we all have stays the same. Like your kids have you guys all have a vernacular that you all go on.
There's a bond.
There's the Frederickson vernacular.
Yes.
And that's the way it works.
Yes.
The Souzas are the same way.
Yeah.
There's a Souza way that we can go, and there's people like to see the way we all talk, and they'll go like, oh my God.
Well, and I think that, the core values, like my moral compass and my, ex-wife's moral compass are different. And that's what I came to find in the relationship. And I also found that I was in there for far longer than I should have been because of this sense of loyalty, because I'm the type of guy that will give you the shirt off my back and be at your back no matter if you're doing right or wrong. That's just who I am. That's how I grew up. That's how I survived.
I don't throw stones either. I don't either. I'll
but that survival mode worked against me because I couldn't make the connection oh, this isn't working and it's not because you're a mean person. It's just because our moral compasses don't match.
You want to try to fix that though. You know what I mean?
You do.
And you feel like if I bail on this, then I failed. Because I could have done this and I didn't. Yep. And that's not the way to look at it. No. It's not a failure at all. It's, the failure, the success is that you could come to the minds with the two kids and say, look, we can't do this anymore.
It's all part of the bigger plan, right? Yeah. And I had to come together with her to make these kids. And if in anything, I got two beautiful children out of it.
That's right. And it's destiny.
But here's the thing. I always wanted more kids. That was the thing. I'm probably going to have more kids.
Good for you.
Because I have a lot of love to give and I want to spread the wealth.
Well, I just had my first grandkid, so I don't think I'm going to.
Well,
that's great.
Look, I see some of the 48-year-old dudes that, dads in schools and stuff like that. They don't move like me.
No.
I still got a lot of energy. I'm ready to go.
I'm 56 and they don't move like me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't look 56.
No, thank you.
But my point is that I still got a lot more.
12.
But this girl, her name's Joanna. But Joanna. Hi, Joanna. But she's we're cut from the same cloth. It's like me with boobs. You know what I mean? And it's like, but we're kind of the same person in the sense. She's like Beyonce, I like Motorhead, but it's not like those worlds can't cross and coexist. My point is that our moral compass is the same.
That's awesome.
And the fact that where we're at in our lives and the way that we can give love and accept love and be okay with that, that's where the bond is happening. You know what I mean? Also with a spiritual bond, And for me, that's never really occurred. Not because I wasn't capable of that. I just wasn't aware or open to that idea.
Do you think maturity had anything to do with it?
Well, I think
because I do. To me personally, I was immature and I shouldn't have been.
Well, once I faced my own, I don't know if every man does this, but for me, right around 39 or 40, I started facing my own mortality. Right? Because I started seeing as you start having kids and you realize how fast it goes on, and you're going, oh my God, this is slipping away. And then all of a sudden, I remember being like so, I didn't take care of myself for a couple of years. I was just so overwhelmed by this idea that I was going to be dead. And at some point, and it just
haul ass, take chances was your, fuck it.
Balls out. It was a little bit of both. It was like balls out, join 28 bands, and then don't take care of your body while you're doing that. And it's like now I'm at a different place where I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking eat that, or I'm gonna go take the 4-mile walk, or
that's everything now.
To me, it's like it's been a whole role reversal, on my life and how I view it. I got too comfortable. And I sort of sat on my hands for a long time. And I allowed things that I wouldn't normally allow in my life to take place and accepted them and just thought that was my pendants. When it's not. It was this illusion that I had that I was not owed something, or excuse me, I don't deserve something, or this is just my lot in life. Like, what got me here in the first place was this absolute inacceptance of this is my lot in life.
Right.
I grew up in low-income house. We were working poor before it was a fucking term.
Right.
It was the Reagan era. I remember my mom working 3 days a week, having to become an Avon lady.
Sure.
Too proud to go on fucking food stamps.
Right.
And trying to raise 2 boys by herself. And so my work ethic was pretty much pounded into me, like, you're not going to be anything. My guidance counselor said I could be a janitor if I was lucky. One of those things. Hello, dogs. 3 of them. There's a gang of pugs.
My pugs are now invading on. How did they get down into the vault?
I don't know. They
One
just
is escape. Hi, Dex.
they opened the door by themselves, though. That was
well. You guys missed one.
yeah. Where is he? But my point is, I don't. It's the divine. It's Lord Odin. He opened the door for the pugs. But so, for me, that the whole system and the belief system that I had growing up, was very valuable, but not all parts of it work as a 48-year-old father.
Sure.
Some of them do.
Sure.
I'm still loyal as fuck,
Sure.
but I'm not going to stay someplace where I'm unhappy because I'm loyal as fuck.
I agree.
I got to change. Once you change your relationship with something, the relationship changes. Once you change the relationship with yourself, your relationship with yourself.
Of course.
So it's like, but it's on you. The emphasis is on you to make that change. And if you can't do that, then you'll stay in a rut. I've never thought to myself, like, this is what I number one, I don't think I'm owed anything. I've never taken a handout from anybody.
That's great.
Okay. And I'm a self-made person.
Yes,
and I did it with a group, though. I did it with a band, right? But I wasn't going to just be this stuck in a rut kind of person. That wasn't, and sure, I was proud of where I come from, and I am proud of where I'm come from, and nobody can take away where I came from or what I've achieved. But I'm not going to stay there in that mindset, because that's stagnant.
Sure it is.
You know what I mean? And then you don't grow, and then you don't experience life.
You do not.
So for me, it's like the whole, with our music, there was always an ethos to it.
Sure.
And then with this ethos, there became this imaginary set of rules by others placed upon us. That we of the coulds, what we could do, what was okay in our thing. You can do this, you can do that, but if you move out of this box, then you're no longer us.
Yeah, right.
It's like, fuck you, I invented us.
Exactly. I know.
I was there with us.
Exactly.
Not that I invented. I
don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
And to me, it was always the people who
you got a platinum record now. You fucking sold out.
Suck my dick.
Exactly.
No, I'm not going to apologize.
Exactly.
To you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. And it's
Exodus
always
is on a major label now. You guys sold out. Fuck you.
And,
I want to be a millionaire.
And the people people who always put me in that box personally were always people that always had a lot more than I ever did. It's funny how that works. It's like we were the working class. We are the true working class punk. If you want to talk about a working class punk band, that was me, Matt, Brandon, Brett, and Tim. Sorry, and I count Brett in because he was part of the long history.
Sure, he was.
We were working class kids, and we just found music that we loved and tried to emulate, and we made it, something for us to do for our living. You know what I mean?
It worked out.
It worked that
way.
Yeah.
Nobody thought
but we would still be doing it.
That's my point. I tell everybody that at the same time. I'm very fortunate to have what I have. I'm very fortunate to have the history and the legend in thrash metal of the band I got to play with.
Right.
And I'm very fortunate about all those things. And but I don't apologize 1 minute for them. It's like, I'm so glad that they did happen. I know so many people, we were talking about this, that it didn't happen for.
I know.
And they are bitter about the music.
But that's the
now.
thing. The lesson there for me, it's like the way I see it, it's like this happened to me for me to learn lessons. And it was a value system, honestly. And in my personal experience, I value family way more than I ever did.
Okay? Yeah, children changed that in a big way.
But my point is that I thought the fix was going to be the band,
right?
The music. Yeah, it worked for a while,
sure.
But then all of a sudden it didn't work. There was something that was missing. And then when I got into, and had kids, I was like, oh, it's the family value. The value of that is way more important to this. This is what I get to do, but It's not who I am.
Right.
Okay. That's who true. I am. And what I'm doing is it's not a far stretch, but I'm not saying that it's not, because there is obviously a lot of me in what I do.
Of course.
But this whole new chapter of my life is now what I'm placing value on. And it actually gives me, the ability to give less fucks about the perception of who people think I am. And I'm not afraid to talk about who I am, what I've done, or what I believe. I don't like to force my views or my opinions down anybody's throats.
I'm the same way. That's why I don't necessarily politics
and
religion.
I don't think we should.
And because I think people's beliefs are for themselves, regardless of who you believe. Even that's what's great about being in this country. You can believe and think who you want, whatever. And if people if they want to agree with it, they can. If they want to disagree with it,
well, that's their right.
That's their right.
Because people don't, I know there's a certain sect of the population that doesn't believe in my politics. You know what I mean? And that's okay. And I've accepted that, but it doesn't define me. Like,
that's the way I look at it. It doesn't define.
There's
and that's the problem with people is that they'll see something like that and they'll go, oh, I don't want to talk. I don't like the way he was thinking about this. He said something about this religion and I don't follow, so I'm not following Zetro anymore. Or he said something about the president, or he said something about this and I didn't like that, so I'm not gonna to follow him, and because I don't believe in it. So my point is whatever works for you and makes and gets your take and beliefs that you have, and you may like some and may not like some others and agree, but you know what? At least you have that for yourself.
Sure.
For yourself,
yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
The bottom line is how you can get through life. I mean, a lot of people, I know I when I was working construction, I did construction for 20 years and in the band back and forth, because there was a time, Lars, when Exodus couldn't pay the living anymore. So I had to supplement it. And my partner that I worked with was, devout Christian there on Wednesday nights, went on Sunday. Anybody needs help in the church, and he's known through his church and all that kind of stuff. And I love that, and I respected him for it because that worked for him.
Right.
Do I believe that? That's not how I believe.
That's the thing.
But I respect him, and I respect the man he is, and I respect the fact that this is what makes him work.
Sure.
This is what gets him through. And if that gets you through, then as long as you're not hurting anybody, more power to you.
I've never been a religious sort.
I'm not either.
And I see how it works for people sometimes.
That's why I said if it works for you, great.
My problem is when that value system, is forced upon my way of life. That's when I have an issue. You know what I'm saying? So because...
You mean the guy standing on the concert with the megaphone going, "You're all going to hell, Ozzy," does it, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, but I think maybe you should go home and hang out with your family.
Well, I feel like
I feel stand out here.
I feel like, and it's funny because me and Lemmy talked about it one time. We were talking about, and this is not something that I don't think a lot of people know or would say themselves, but I think religion creates a lot more separation than it does togetherness.
It sure does.
And I think it does in so many ways that is unseen and also seen. But I feel like if we're truly a Christian nation, and what people talk about, or at least the catchphrases I've heard about the Christian nation, one nation under God or whatever. Well, what defines God?
Right.
Okay.
What does?
And then you have to asking those questions. And if you're like me, I'm going to ask all the questions.
That's what I do. And people don't have answers for the questions.
It's like the word, it's like the slogan conspiracy theory. Well, that
because if you don't believe in Christ, you're going to die and be burned in hell. And when you're a kid, you're going, I don't want to be burned in hell. I better listen. And I'm like, so your scare tactics is what going along.
Yeah, conspiracy theory was invented, I think, by the CIA to debunk people who are asking questions. So that whole, I don't know. We can get
lost in this.
So where do we want to go now?
Where do we want to go? Actually, I've had you here all day.
Oh, yes, you have.
I have you all day.
Well,
Can I come back? Can I have you in here again?
Dude, I'll come back anytime because I'm going to be number one. Who am I going to beat?
Well, you are going to be number one.
I better be number one because I'm going to blow this.
Bobby Gustafson right now.
Bobby, you're out.
Your episode's killing it, but I've got all of Lars Frederickson's socials that the ads will go on. So got a little bit more leverage there. Yeah. I've had amazing conversation with you. We've been here for hours. You know that I'm going to have to run how many episodes, Wayne? I'm going to have to do this in 3 episodes, which was a week with Lars Frederickson.
Cool.
And it's going to be great.
I'm stoked.
And we can have you back in
anytime.
And that's
There's
great.
so much we didn't even talk about.
I know. There's so much.
I don't. How much did we actually talk about music, though? I think we.
The first part was about music, but
we covered
not,
everything.
That's not what's important. We had to jump on the first one. Now I'll get comments from because you guys are going to leave me your comments.
Hopefully, a lot of hate mail.
I'm doing a whole episode. Me and Walter doing a whole episode for you haters. Yeah. So send them in, and then we could come in. We'll see what we forgot about, what they want to bring up, because they're good at that.
Oh, yeah.
When I missed something on Bobby Gustafson, and they were all first to remind me. What was it?
Taint.
Huh?
Satan's Taint.
Satan's Taint. I didn't bring that up, a band that he'd been in, and I forgot. And it's like, oh my God, you guys cut me some slack. I'm not an encyclopedia of every. I have to do homework on every guest. I do my homework on everybody who comes in.
Yeah.
So I know what you're doing.
What I love about it is more of a conversation.
It's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'll ask you, talk about this. It's never so.
Yeah.
So Kirk Hammett. Was he originally the guitar player for Exodus? That's when interviews are over, right? If you're going to ask that question, interview is now over. Yeah. They still ask it.
Yes, and he's a phenomenal guitar player.
He's the
greatest.
He's we're still friends.
So I'll tell you a quick story. My brother bought a Flying V. I think it's an 82, and 81 or 82, and it's the one that Kirk Hammett played. And Kirk was very gracious because my brother had it. And it's been, after he passed away, it's just been sitting in a closet for 15, 16 years. And I decided, okay, I'm going to refurbish this. And I called Kirk and I said, hey, what did you put in this? Because I think my brother's goal was this. And he explained to me what was in that guitar. And then I went to, because I got the EMG thing endorsement. And
they were EMGs?
Was that?
They were EMGs?
They were EMGs, 81s.
I was going to be more like Seymour Duncan, because this was a long time ago.
Yeah, but
right?
no, but he told me exactly what he had, and so I refurbished the guitar because I knew my brother probably did it because of Kirk. You know what I mean? Because my brother was a huge Metallica fan and saw him at the Day on the Green.
Yeah,
and the whole
of course,
thing.
I was there too.
You know, so
our hometown boys had made it to the Day on the Green.
But those guys, you know, they might be the biggest band on planet fucking Earth.
They are the biggest band on the planet.
But they are humble motherfuckers.
I'm telling you. I love him. Kirk was just we did Bass Strikes Back tour right as before the pandemic was Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel, and Kirk came out to the Paris show and hung out all day with us.
Yeah,
he's the greatest guy.
No, they're all good fucking dudes.
I love those guys. They've been close. I mean, Tom and Gary and Rick and all those guys go back with them.
Yeah,
you know, Tom and Rick used to live at the Tala House on San Pablo when they would go out on tour with like Raven and back in the days and stuff. It's wild.
Yeah,
God, we could sit here forever. Yeah. Anyway, you guys. Leave me comments because then I could have Lars come back on things that we forgot. Obviously, subscribe to my channel and then watch this on a big screen, like at home on your YouTube. Always watch my
jerk off.
It looks much better that way.
Put it in your spank bank.
Thank you once again,
Thanks, bro.
my friend.
Thank you, Zetro.
It's been awesome.
It's been amazing.
We'll see you guys real soon.
Cheers
On Zetro's Toxic Vault.